787.
787 departure frequency time will be 1257.
257, thanks.
My head is about to explode with carbon bonds. Welcome back to the SciFi And Friends podcast. I do apologize about the short 2-week hiatus. The first week was Labor Day. All my guests were out and about enjoying the Labor Day weekend, as was I. So decided to take that week off. And then last week, organic chemistry just completely shifted gears on me and took off. And the first exam just beat the hell out of me. And I went hunting on, I went hunting all weekend, so I got only a few hours of sleep. Anyway, what I'm saying is I burned out, wasn't able to do the podcast last week, but we're back, we're good, no worries. The only thing that may change in the future, I might move from Monday, Tuesday to like a Tuesday, Wednesday, or something like that, just for school, but you'll still be getting your 2 episodes a week, 2 or more, minimum of 2, so no worries there. A couple of things in the description of the podcast from now on. There will be a link to several of the things I'm about to mention for either discount codes, affiliate links, anything that is associated with Infinite Productions or SciFi And Friends, the podcast. So the first is 23andMe. I did a 23andMe genetic test. Shows you all sorts of things, any sort of genetic markers for certain types of diseases. Are you prone to have lactose intolerance, are you a boy or are you a girl, all that kind of stuff. It shows it's really cool reports. They continually update the reports to be more and more detailed. The more of your family that does it, the more detailed it can be, and you can kind of trace certain things throughout your lineage. It's really interesting. Look for the link in the bio, and you can save $20 and then 20% on each test that you get on top of the first test you buy. It test is $150. Always On It, I'm a little affiliate dude of On It. I don't sell anything, but I definitely push it. I wear it. I work out with it. I take the supplements. In the link in the bio, there's a little link to the affiliate website. You can get 10% off your order. That's how it starts, and then after that, you get more bonuses and free stuff. Just let me know. Colton13 is the affiliate link. Link is in the bio. And then finally, Sticker Mule. I just ordered 50 stickers today of the SciFi And Friends logo. So I got a little coupon for anybody that signs up for that. You can get all sorts of stickers. You can get square stickers, circle stickers, clear stickers, big stickers, small stickers, banner stickers, all sorts of stuff. So if you're looking for custom-made stickers, hit up stickermule.com. In the bio, there is a little discount code for you if you use it. Okay, today, my guest, a good friend of mine, we used to work together not too many months ago. He's an OSU culinary grad, sports enthusiast, musician, and I just found out right before the show, an amateur field biologist. So, very interesting cat. I'm really looking forward to talking to him and finding out what else he's into. Please welcome Randy Rajsombat.
Everybody, what's going on?
Finally, we talked about this back when we were at Red Oak.
We this podcast was actually in the making for about a year now, so hopefully something good will come out of this.
Yeah, and that was even before I was consistent at all. Like I did maybe 1 episode a month, and I was like, man, Randy, you need to come on. It'd be cool. And then you got a different job and you jetted out, and then life happened.
It does happen, and I've been looking forward for this for a really long time, and after we changed plans for about 2 or 3 times, I almost just kind of gave up on it in a way. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna ever get famous with this guy.
Oh no doubt, it was destiny. I have a little white journal. I might even have it in my pocket. A little field notes journal, just for the podcast, and on the front page, there's like guests that I want on or guests that I've had on. And I keep track of like how many times they come on or when they come on or what they talked about. You're number 1 on that list. So
number 1.
You're number 1. So I'm going to mark your name off now, but you are number 1 on that list.
Great.
So welcome to the podcast, man. First off, update me on how you were. You were an OSU grad, culinary grad. Got a gig at Downstream with a couple of your classmates. They offered you a job, you accepted for a while, and then from there you moved on.
Yes, I did. The year and a half that I spent at Downstream, it was actually one of the most eye-opening experiences I've had in my short culinary food and beverage industry experience, however you want to say. Because it's such a good mid-sized casino. It's not too big, it's not too small, but at the same time they offer so many outlets. They offer a sports bar outlet, a buffet outlet, fine dining, and a breakfast, and even a little coffee shop, and even a little bakery if you want to get involved in that later in the future. And so I learned from so many aspects of cooking just from working at one place. Starting out, I was an intern for Downstream Casino, and we started out in the buffet, and we moved on. I would wake up at 2 in the afternoon, then all of a sudden I have to get up at 4 in the morning to cook breakfast the next day, and it was crazy. It was crazy, but I kind of liked it, and it's where I met a lot of good friends up here in the 4-state area.
Nice. And then you came, so I won't backtrack, just so people get a little background on you. You are an OSU culinary grad. I mean,
that is correct. I went to Oklahoma State University, but it's not the main campus like everybody thinks. I went to the campus in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. It's a small little campus. It's like a junior college. It's about 30 minutes south of Tulsa, so that's where actually we would go party. I remember going to college. We used to go to.
How many people remember that?
Oh, I don't
going
know.
to college.
Just a few, I guess. But I don't remember too much about the classroom, but I remember going on these trips to Tulsa, going to the clubs. I'm not really much of a clubber, but I used to go to the clubs, and I used to dance and twerk it and listen to Gangnam Style.
Twerk
to Gangnam Style.
I'm gonna write that down. Is that you don't twerk to Gangnam Style, do you?
Well, I mean, it's just depends on what you drank that night. It just has this crazy grasp on you, and you just do.
Hypnotic. He's out of control.
That blue vial of stuff.
Oh yeah, give me the blue stuff. So when you were in school, did you study something specific, or was it just a wide range of culinary techniques?
So what was really cool about going to culinary school was I remember the first day when I went to the classroom, I sat down with about 12 other individuals and a chef. And day one, I didn't know what to expect, and what happened was we literally got introduced into the food and beverage industry like we did not know anything at all, and that was in a good way. One of the things that they made clear was when we were in the classroom was the chef said, "Look, when you guys are done out of this program, there's no telling what's going to happen. You may find something where you're happy, you may find something where you're not happy, but the point is you're going to be working a lot. You're going to start from the bottom, even though you have this degree, and you're just going to be working your way up." That's just the cliff notes of it.
Right.
But that's kind of exactly what happened. I mean, the point of me interning at Downstream was that it was a requirement for me to obtain my degree. Right. So I had to be in some sort of internship. And honestly, towards the end of the school year, I didn't know what I was going to do. By chance, I ran into Downstream because of a previous colleague came to Downstream. And it was honestly one of the best decisions I made in my life because, it's just outstanding what not only Downstream has to offer by learning capabilities, but just the benefits there are just something that I took for granted that I didn't realize until I left.
That's amazing.
Yes.
But you learned a lot. Like you said, you had all the opportunities. You basically had, 6 restaurants in one?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
And one thing I want to touch up on that is going to school, it does not teach you everything.
Mm-hmm.
With going to culinary school, what it did for me was it gave me a huge head start in this food and beverage industry. I walked into a restaurant with the knowledge of somebody who's been there for 10 years, but at the same time, I did not have the experience that person had that was there for 10 years.
Right.
That's what I always like to tell people is that culinary school is just a big head start to get you in place into the restaurant to where you don't go in there and look like a complete idiot.
Right.
How do I peel this potato?
Right. You're familiar with certain techniques that maybe a person that has been there for 10 years has got to experience on his or her own. But in culinary school, it's like they
crunched it all in 2 years.
Yeah,
is what they did.
exactly.
Instead of taking me 10 years to learn what that guy learned, it took me 2 years.
Right. They say this is how you cut a potato. You can go at A, B, or C. Let's do all the techniques. And this is you chop the potato this way for soup. You chop the potato this way for grilling it, whatever.
Pretty much going through there, we learned a lot of French terminology like beurre Meunier, and then things like knife cuts like bâtonnet, juliennes, and things like that. And what that really means is it's just a dimension of a knife cut, is all it is. If I'm not mistaken, a julienne is a 1/16th cut.
What?
A bâtonnet is a 1/8 inch cut. Maybe you could look that up
I can
and
totally
double
look
check
that
that
up.
because it's been a while. I remember taking tests on these, like a small dice, medium, and large dice. You would have to give these dimensions for them.
Man, I don't even know what to type in. I'm going to type in different cut names.
Different cut names. Well, you have a sirloin there.
That's right. Whoa. List of culinary
That's
knives?
it. That's it right there.
So is this with different knives? Or, there they go. There it is. How do you say that?
That is a bâtonnet.
Bâtonnet. Oh, another French. Little stick.
Little stick.
There
Right
you
there.
go.
Bâtonnet.
1/4 by 1/4.
I was off.
That's okay.
There it
That's
is.
all right.
The bâtonnet measures a 1/4 inch, and you go down to the julienne, and that's where it talks about 1/8 of an inch. You find julienne is a 16th.
I mean, how much do you use that when you're working? Does that cross your mind or?
It does cross my mind because it's how I was trained. But at the same time, the chef that trained me to do things like this, he told me, he said, look, when you're out in the real field and and the chef asks you to julienne an onion, it may not be a perfect dimension of an onion, but if you can get it to where it's acceptable, they'll take it.
Yeah.
But here in school, we're going to teach you from the basics,
Right.
from the ground up, the French way of doing this.
Right. It's almost like they taught you a language. Like they taught you the language of culinary, so that if someone higher up was like, julienne that onion, is that what they say?
Pretty much.
Okay.
You take an onion, they either want you to chop it. Well, actually, they'll just say, hey, chop it up. They're not going to say, hey, dice it to a medium dice.
No.
Unless you're maybe in like a higher upscale place. But usually around here, they'll tell you, hey, we just need you to chop that up.
Right.
We need you to fine dice it or something.
Not julienne it. It sounds a little nasty.
It's a very beautiful name.
It's sorry to disrespect it like that. No, that's cool. But like I was saying, it like almost teaches you like the language of the kitchen to where you can efficiently communicate to one another and accomplish the common goal, which is to produce an amazing dish.
Language and procedures and techniques. One of the best analogies I learned in school was that a recipe is like a roadmap. Once you know how to get where you're going, you don't need that map anymore.
Right.
So I would take the technique for making rice pilaf, for example. Almost everybody knows to cook rice is a 2-to-1 ratio. You don't really need a recipe. So if you have 1/4 rice, you're going to need 2 quarts of water. It can go for volume and what's the other one? Weight. Volume or weight.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just a
Makes
simple
sense.
ratio game. So, so you take that in your mind and you think about that. So you don't really need a recipe. You just need to know the ratios.
So, like, if you were going to maybe enhance a recipe, would you first need to know like the common way to do something, and then once you're familiar with that way, then it's like, okay, let's add a little more sugar, or let's add in a different ingredient completely.
A perfect example of that is mashed potatoes.
Okay.
So some people may prefer cream, some people prefer milk, some people prefer a lot of butter, some people prefer no butter, and they like fake butter, margarine, for example, or something along the lines. It's very subjective to what you can do to a food item. It's great. To me, I look at it as an art, and that's so cliche. But to put something that's edible on a plate and to make it look good, like it's a work of art that you see like an artist would do, it's incredible.
Oh, I mean, no, I don't think it's cliche at all. But as far as like art on a plate, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary Chef's Table on Netflix.
I've had a lot of people hit me up and they're like, dude, Randy, you need to watch this show, Chef's Table. It's on Netflix. And I say, well, that's great. I don't have Netflix. I have Hulu, though.
Yeah, I'll get you my account, man. I'll let you use it. Now, I worked on one of the episodes when I was in LA. I worked on the what was her Nikki's episode. She works at a place, or she owns a place called the Naka, and it's it's not a sushi restaurant, but it's like this fine dining. She has no menu. She just kind of talks to you, and every sort of dish, every sort of 5-course dinner is completely custom to you. I mean, it's completely sold out for months and months and months and months. But definitely check out that. It's up for it was up for several Emmys. I don't think it won any. I think Making a Murder took the show. Which, have you watched Making a Murder?
It's a really big show from what I hear.
It's a really big and awesome. And Chef's Table has two seasons, and then they have like a French like side episode, like a mini season of like just French, because every chef is from a different place. Like Nikki was from LA, and they had one from Sweden. They had one from Brazil. They had, I mean, this is all over the place, but each person like has their own way of doing things and their own like specialty and whatnot. Dude, you'd love it.
Dude, speaking of specialty, whenever I first started in school and right after I graduated, I would get into these conversations with people exactly about this. And the first thing, one of the things they asked me is, "What's your favorite thing to cook? Are you specializing in something? Like, are you specializing in like German food, French food, or something?" It's a really common question for me, and it's at the same time a really hard question because I wasn't really specifically trained in a specific cuisine, unless you want to say I was trained in the specific French techniques. Is how I always like to word it. I was trained classically French trained is how I like to describe it. The French have their own way of cooking techniques and the way that they go on with adding things to a saute pan. But the other question is what do you like to cook? And I say, well, I kind of like to cook everything. And then I started thinking about it. Well, I really like Asian food.
I wonder why.
It's what satiates me. Like I could eat a sandwich and that gets me full.
Yeah.
But unless I down it with some rice and soy sauce, maybe a little sriracha.
Dude, that is exactly what Chef's Table. And well, actually, there's like this movement. You know, there's like the food truck movement. There's the farm to table movement. Like there's so many of these undertow movements within the culinary world, within the, I guess you could just call it the food world, that you could take something like that, what you just said, and you know, take the idea of a sandwich, you know, something quick, something satiating, but maybe not preferable, and then take what you just said as far as rice or soy sauce. And
something comforting.
Something comforting.
Imagine a Sunday morning with like, I don't know, grandma's roast beef and some nice mashed potatoes.
On Sunday morning?
On Sunday morning.
Right before the football game?
Right before, during, and after.
My heart is so warm right now. Yeah, but I'm saying like take those two ideas and put them together. You know, that's kind of where, did you watch the movie Chef?
I did,
with
twice.
Jon Favreau?
Twice.
That's an awesome movie.
That is a really good movie, and it's very, very up to date with what's going on in today's world.
Right, it definitely captures, I'm more specifically the food truck movement, you know, just taking something like a kitchen, putting it in a truck, and then driving around. And
I like how renegade his character is, because it really shows what a chef is like in real life, a real chef or a real cook, however you want to say it. And there's so much passion coming from that acting character that whenever I watched it with a bunch of my other culinary fad friends, we were blown out of this world. We were like, dude, this is one of the best movies besides Batman. when Batman came out in 2012, Batman Returns.
Oh, you're talking Nolan Batman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a different level.
Yeah, that's a different level. Because it was something that we could relate to. Professionally and personally, feelings wise, it was really eye-opening movie. And back to I want to talk about what you were saying about these food fads of the food truck and the farm to table. There's a restaurant that I've been to a few times. It's called Tall Grass Prairie Table, and it's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay. Downtown, right by the Blue Dome District. I think.
Shout out, Tall Grass.
Shout out, yeah. Hey, speaking of that, I'm gonna tell you this story later. But so the restaurant is a farm to table restaurant, and their menu changes seasonally. They have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have 3 or 4 different menus a year.
I'm telling you, you gotta watch Chef's Table. You're gonna be the way you feel about Chef. You're going to be blown out of the water. It's going to be inspiring to you.
I want to.
We should watch it together. I'll watch it with you.
I need some time to watch it. Like it's so hard for me to get into a TV show. I love to watch football, and I will sit through every single game until it gets to about until the 7:30 game comes on, and it's about the fourth quarter.
And it's not the Patriots.
Yeah, it's not the Patriots. I'll pass out for a little bit and wake up. And
I'll tell you how to fix this. And I just fixed this the other day because I had the same problem. I could not watch a TV show without getting on my computer or Googling something on my phone.
Yes.
Here it is. I put all the TV shows on my phone. There's an app called VLC. I don't know what it stands for. Video something. I don't know. Called VLC. And all you do is in iTunes, you just drag and drop all your video files to VLC. And then you have them on your phone. So I acquired Mr. Robot, the first season, and just took every episode, put it on VLC, and I finished it in like a week and a half. Because I just watched it on my phone, and when I was on my phone, I couldn't Google things. I couldn't text anybody. I just watched the episode. That's what you should do. Get Netflix on your phone, and then just when you have time, you know, you're waiting for a doctor's appointment. Like, I'm going to watch a little bit of Chef's Table. Pop, time to go to the doctor, halfway through. And then you can resume when you're driving on the highway or
I
something.
think you're
Just
onto
kidding.
something here. Yesterday, I was watching the football game, and I thought, oh, hey, I'm going to Google something.
Yeah.
And I was looking for my phone, and I forgot, it's in the other room on the charger.
You can't get it.
No, I can't get it. I'm
can't
already on the
leave.
couch. Can't
wait for a commercial.
So I just thought, you know what? I'm just gonna do it later. So I just completely lost my thought on that,
Yeah.
and I went back to the same subject.
Yeah, exactly. It keeps your focus because this bad boy is the stealer of focus. It breaks focus all the time.
It's crazy. So imagine going out into public and people holding their hands up, looking at their phone. So imagine if that phone was gone, they're looking at their hand.
That'd be weird. We should take a picture like on a subway and like Photoshop everyone's phone.
I think I've seen something like that before.
that'd be hilarious.
That's why I brought it up. That's cool.
Okay, sorry to disrupt. Tall grass. Back to tall grass.
Tall grass. Back to tall grass. So, I was just going to mention, it's a local farm to table restaurant, and they were really good at it. They were really good at outsourcing local produce and local meats from the local markets in Tulsa, because Tulsa has this community. I call it a community. It has a very, very strong community for people that are into food and beverage. Hence, take food trucks, for example. The first thing I think about food trucks in this area is I think Tulsa. And when I think about Tulsa, I think about food trucks. Because I don't know where else to go to run into a food truck.
Maybe Kansas City, but Tulsa's closer.
Tulsa is closer, and there's a lot of things to do there, I think.
Yeah, I like Tulsa, and it's definitely developed over the years. When I was growing up, it was just the place to fly out of.
So speaking of tall grass, I want to tell you a funny story that happened to me. So I left downstream and I went to a restaurant, and I was the manager of this restaurant for a few months. And I was thinking, well, you know what? It's time for something new. And I was going to go to Tulsa, and I was going to go to the Hard Rock Casino.
Oh, yeah.
So I applied there, and I interviewed for a position. And after I got done interviewing, I went back into the casino, and I started just chilling. I started hanging out.
Yeah.
Some of my friends met me there. So we're at the bar, and we're drinking and talking, catching up. And I noticed this lady that was probably about 3 or 4 seats on the bar to my left. In a distance, she was standing there ordering a drink. And I kept looking at her because I felt like I knew her. But at the same time, I was like, no, there's no chance I know her.
Right.
And so we're sitting here, and 10 minutes goes by, 15 minutes goes by, and all of a sudden she approaches me, and it catches me off guard because I was like, well, okay, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And so she starts talking to me, and before I even said hi, hello, how you doing, I immediately looked at her and I said, hey, I know you. And it was the executive chef from Tall Grass Prairie Table. No shit. She was there. It was a concert night. She was there with her mom, and she was getting her drink on.
Oh, yeah?
She was getting her drink on. And we started talking, and I said, hey, you remember me? I was at your restaurant, and you gave me a tour of your kitchen a long time ago, about a year ago. And she was saying, yeah, she did, but I don't think she did. So she ended up offering me a job there.
Whoa.
Crazy. She was like, well, what are you doing in Tulsa? I said, I was just hanging out with some friends, and, I didn't really give her a hint that I was here, and I just had a job interview at this casino.
Right.
And so she said, well, hey, why don't you come and talk to me tomorrow at my restaurant, or maybe it was next week. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I did not end up going, but what was crazy was I kept running into her 3 more times later that night.
How many more signs do you need, Randy?
I don't know.
Tall grass is for you.
That's what exactly I was thinking. I was talking to my friend. Her name was Jordan, and I was saying, hey, Jordan, so I think this is a sign. And she was like, no, Randy. She calls me Scandal. Scandy Randy.
Okay.
Because I'm scandalous.
Mm-hmm. You look it.
I guess, yeah. And so she was like, no, you shouldn't go there. Well, first of all, she's really drunk. She was literally, she was stumbling around all over this casino.
Okay.
And she was honestly there with her mom. So there I was observing this 35-odd-year-old lady with her elderly mom, and they're drunk in this casino watching this concert. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy is I run into her at the Toby Keith bar in the Hard Rock Casino. So I go, so you've been there, so they have that second level. Mm-hmm. I was eating upstairs in the second level, and as I was leaving, I just happened to walk by her, and I seen her, and she had this rib in her hand, and she was going to town. Like, she was hungry.
Yeah, she don't care.
Like, she
owns a restaurant.
She didn't give a shit.
She parties,
and
man.
she saw me, and she looked straight at me, and then right back down in her food, and not even say hi.
Dude.
Not even acknowledge me.
She doesn't care what people think.
But then I just thought, well, we just ran into each other 2 times ago.
Right.
In the same night, within 3 hours.
Right.
And so I thought it was really ironic. And another ironic thing was later that night, I ran into the buffet chef there that I used to work with at Downstream.
Really?
So I ran into 3 people I seen that night.
I think I think the casino world is kind of closely knit, especially the Indian casinos at Oklahoma.
Yeah,
They keep in
I would
touch.
say so. Mainly, I guess, because it's actually one of the better places to work if you are a cook,
Yeah.
honestly. From my personal experience, actually, that's
Mm-hmm.
going back to what I said at the beginning of this podcast. That I said Downstream is one of the best places that I've worked, and I didn't know that until I left, and I took it for granted.
Yeah.
Going to these other places, I don't know. I didn't know what I was thinking. So right now, I'm in this situation where I keep telling myself, if you're not growing, you're rotting. But that's so pessimistic.
I like it though.
But it's the
That's
truth.
something I was gonna say. That's something to live by.
It's seriously the truth to where I'm so sold on to this to where I think I need to make a change in life. I need to do something.
Oh, I mean,
This is the time.
It is the time. You don't have any sort of kids, no responsibilities. You have a great education, and you have what is already a very solid background of experience within the world that you love, this culinary world. Plus, you're getting job offers and little hints from the universe saying, "Hey, dude, you like Tulsa? There's a farm-to-table restaurant in Tulsa that wants you."
Well, that's awesome because I was really in the hunt for a job in Tulsa because when I was at Hard Rock, and then I run into the lady at Tallgrass, and that really boosted my confidence. I was thinking, wow, this is awesome. I just interviewed with the Hard Rock. I ran into this chick, and I just went to an interview last week at the Summit Club of Tulsa, which I don't know if you know, but the Summit Club is one of the oldest country clubs in Tulsa, and it's located on the 31st, 32nd, and 33rd floor of the Bank of America building in downtown Tulsa.
What?
So when I went to this job interview, I literally drove into the building in their car garage, and I got into an elevator, and I went to the 31st floor.
In your car?
Well, almost.
Okay.
Like I parked right by the elevator.
Okay. I didn't know if they elevated your car up. Sorry, coffee.
Well, that would have been cool.
Oh
This
my God.
coffee's fantastic.
Thank
by the
you.
way.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. So you go up to the 33rd.
So I go up to this 31st floor, and literally I had the sky view of Tulsa.
Whoa.
It was awesome. I felt like I could see everything.
Yeah.
But realistically, I probably had 10 miles of visibility.
Still though,
It was awesome.
that's a dope
It was
floor
awesome.
to be in.
There was another building a little bit taller than the Bank of America
Yeah.
building, and I think it's the Chase Tower in Tulsa. I don't know if that's even what it's called, but it was really unique. It was really cool. I had long story short, I got an offer at the Hard Rock. I got an offer at the Summit Club. Did not follow up at Tallgrass because she was a little too drunk for me that night.
What do you mean too drunk for you?
Well,
You didn't
because I
trust the
felt like,
judgment?
well, I did, but I didn't want to go into the restaurant and then there's that awkward scene. Hey, so
Remember me?
remember me from the other night when you were drunk and
Right,
you offered me
right.
a job?
Yeah, I understand. I guess I understand that, But you should have reached out and just said, "Hey, good seeing you at the Toby Keith or whatever."
Connections, right? Hey,
Yeah.
I'll find her on LinkedIn.
Yeah, just kind of just go slow, just like you're hunting. You don't want to spook the animal away, and then just kind of go in slowly. And hey, still interested. I like your place of work and how you do things, and this farm to table thing. Speaking of that, let's talk about that real quick. How does that all work? They go seasonal. Do they contract people? Do they contract farmers? Or
So I'll tell you what I know. I honestly don't know how it works
Yeah.
down to paper, but I know that they're legitimately very, very farm to table in a way that they're organic.
Right,
They try
okay.
to buy as much as they can locally, and what they cannot get locally, they will actually outsource to their food provider, whether it be U.S. Foods, Benny Keith, Cisco, Springfield Grocer, Tankersley. There's so many food distributor companies out there
Right.
that are willing to do anything to get you what you want. For example, when I was in culinary school, one of the coolest things that we ordered in was a sea urchin.
Whoa.
And I don't know if you know, but to get something like a sea urchin or even, for example, crabs and lobsters, you have to get them in and they have to be live.
You gotta receive them live.
Yes, you have to receive them live. You do it if you get some lobsters in and they're dead, you don't want to mess with that
Because
there's
of
there's
diet.
so many things that could go wrong.
Right.
So
Like the algae blooms and whatnot.
yeah. I think that's what
the
it is. But
shellfish
one of the
and
coolest
diatoms.
things that happened was I'm in the middle of Oklahoma and I'm in this school and we got in fresh mussels and clams,
Right.
lobsters. a sea urchin, and one of the coolest things we got in was Wagyu beef.
Oh.
Which I mean,
You should explain Wagyu beef to the people of the podcast.
So Wagyu beef is just, if I'm not mistaken, Wagyu is a breed name. It's kind of like Holstein cows.
There you go. I got your back.
Black Angus. Wagyu is a cattle breed.
The Japanese cow.
Yeah.
The most desired of which genetically is predisposed to intense marbling and producing a high percentage of. How do you say that?
I don't know.
Oh boy, I'm the biologist here.
Oleaginous,
unsaturated fat. I will definitely be reading about that because I'm going to drop that on my people. But anyway, it's very similar to Kobe beef, right?
It's actually almost the same thing. There's actually an analogy that I like to use on that. So you take champagne and sparkling wine. It's like the same thing, right? But for it to be champagne, it comes from Champagne, France.
Right.
So Wagyu beef.
That's excellent.
Is Wagyu beef, but for it to be Kobe beef, it has to come from Kobe, Japan.
Right. This comes from what, Australia? Wagyu is an Australian
I think,
cut?
yeah, you can find them in Australia, in Japan, obviously.
They have Australia, United States, Canada, and Scotland. Looks like has the distribution of Kobe or Wagyu beef.
And so we take the subject of beef and steaks, for example. So everybody knows that you have prime, choice, and select. And it actually goes on to maybe, I think, 10 more. And I learned this in...
10 more?
Seriously. I'm not making this up. And it might be hard for you to find online because I've looked for them before. But I remember taking a meat fabrication class, and I learned about these other cuts of beef. What? And they're graded to where there's some, it's like, so after select, you have stuff called like utility grade and so on and so forth. And they just use them for different things. And so I started thinking.
There they are, right? Standard. Is that like standard?
And it goes past standard. Yeah. Okay. I have a whole list of it at home. Which, by the way.
So this little thing that we're looking at has 3 choices. It has like prime plus, prime circle-y thing, and then prime negative, prime, and then choice plus, blah, 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 select, standard. But Randy says it goes beyond standard, but this thing doesn't go, so I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and actually, I just learned in the past year that there was such a thing as plus and minuses. Here we go. You got prime, choice, select, standard, commercial, and utility.
So utility is the lowest one.
Well, I think it even goes more.
Oh, it goes even
seriously. More. Like I don't remember correctly, but I have a list that goes to about 8, 9, maybe 10, but that's it.
This website has so many graphs and charts.
And so I bring this up because going back to the subject about the Wagyu beef, Wagyu beef is in its own grading scale. I don't know how it works.
Is it considered prime cut? No, it's Wagyu.
It's its own thing.
Wow.
The way that they grade him, I don't know the words or the numbers or anything used, but from my understanding, I think if I'm not mistaken, there's multiple grades from like a 1 through 10 again, and it's the amount of intense marbling the Wagyu beef has. The first cut I've ever had of Wagyu beef, I think, was like it wasn't even good. It wasn't even a good cut from a standard cow.
Right.
I think it was like the flank steak of a Wagyu beef.
Okay.
Or like a skirt or something like that, like a really undesirable cut from a regular Angus beef. And so the chef opens it up and he pulls out this red meat, and it's not even red. I look at it and it's like white because there's so much marbling and fat. It was ridiculous. Like I was like, holy crap. What is this?
Was he serving it to you?
We were looking at it, and he was talking to us about it.
This was in school?
Yes, this was in school.
Okay.
And eventually, we seasoned it up, and we served it to ourselves. Like, we tasted it. We had a Wagyu ribeye come in one time.
Oh,
and so you can take, let's say, a dry-aged prime ribeye.
Yeah.
Some of them you find just intense marbling.
Right,
If you find like a Kobe beef or a Wagyu ribeye with so much marbling, it's just white. There's, like, no meat to it.
Right.
And
let me see if I can pull up a picture real quick.
And so whenever we were cooking this, one of the students was going to season it with salt and pepper, and the chef was like, no, let's just do salt because we just want to taste the meat itself. Right. And it was fantastic.
There's your marbling. Look at all that.
That is the marbling. Like there is no, where's the red meat to red meat?
Dude, the ratio is at least 2 to 1, right?
Oh, I would say 3 to 1.
Oh my God. Well, that's how our Wagyu steaks at Red Oak, they look like that. They're 14 ounce. So they're a little smaller than the prime cut ribeyes. But as far as marbling the meat, I mean, there's no comparison. You know, the ribeyes have a little bit, you know, that they're a common ribeye. So they have like a little bit around the edges and whatnot, but nothing like that.
No, it is day and night. You can tell they're both from a cow.
Yeah.
But in essence, it's literally a taste. It's day and night. You can season it with just salt and salt only, and you bite into it, and you swear there's like a buttery flavor. But it's that fat,
right?
It's that fat is where all that flavor is.
So, and this fat coming from? Are they pumping corn, or what are they doing to get this much fat?
I wish I can answer that question. I know for sure. Whenever the cow comes from Kobe, Japan, like these guys take care of their cows,
right?
Like they'll be massaging them and just and everything. And I say that now, but I don't even know if that's true. I feel like it's my responsibility that I should have looked at this.
Right. I feel that way too. I mean, I don't know how many times I've spilled this at my table, like Wagyu is, whoa.
Well, see, there's so much to learn in the culinary world. I'm just forever a student. I'm forever a pupil.
That's a good attitude.
I have some people that kind of call me chef in a serious way, in a friendly way, and in a jokingly kind of way, but I just brush it off. I never introduce myself as such.
On this episode of Original Fare,
So I pulled out this thing that says "Secret Behind Wagyu Beef," just to get a little educated real quick.
how the heck do we cook it?
Because what I've heard, you hear Kobe. Kobe is fed beer, right?
To hunt,
I've heard of that.
They get massages, they get beer, all that kind of stuff. I've heard that Wagyu is different in the sense that they are fed red wine and not beer. So they get the massage, they get the easy death, all that kind of
Colton,
stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised if these cows got haircuts during the summer.
Dude, everyone makes that joke, like, I want to be a Wagyu or Kobe beef. And I don't know, man. Maybe you are for the aliens that would come down and take our women and steal our genetics.
So it was just a really eye-opening experience to just be able to experience this cut of meat in school, out of school, to even see in real life is just amazing.
To think about just here, I'll turn the volume down here, but just think about knowing what Wagyu beef is or Kobe beef. Like most people don't know that there's even certain rankings of meat. Like the average person.
And just like I mentioned before, I just learned last year that there was a grade such as Choice Plus, Choice Minus. Yeah. I did not know that at all. And I don't know if that's something new or if it's just been around and I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about it, so if you think about it like a giant map of culinary, and you just have we'll do like a web, and you have the culinary menu up here, and then you have a branch off, and you have coffee, right? Or you have bakery, or you have beef. Those rabbit holes go so deep, and they'll go as deep as you want, right? Like the coffee, we were talking about the coffee earlier, and how Matthew, ratios out his water to weight, and he uses reverse osmosis water, and he'll go through 3 or 4 roasts before he finds the perfect roast profile. It's the same with beef. You're going to go through how many different cows, how many different feeds that you've given this cow, or techniques. If you massage your cows, whatever, it's up to you. You'll make a lot of money in the restaurant business. But
well, another great thing to compare to this, along with coffee and beef, is fish. Maybe not so much in the United States, but go to Japan. Mm-hmm. Those guys eat fish like we eat chicken.
But is it all? Well, how do they do it? They raise it we have a big thing where we raise salmon here, and there's a big wild caught versus farm raised.
So, from my understanding, in Japan, there's a really big fishing industry. Mm-hmm.
All of Asia, right?
Oh yeah,
especially
definitely.
Japan, I guess, because they're island.
I remember vividly in my international food class in culinary school, I watched a little clip on Japan and how its fish industry works alongside with restaurants. And some of these restaurateurs and these chefs will wake up early in the morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, just to go to their local fish market, to get there first, to get the latest, to get the newest tuna, the freshest tuna. And so these guys get up early at 5 or 6 in the morning. There's no telling what time the fisherman got up to fish these fish.
Yeah,
if he was out there 1, 2 in the morning to bring this fish over, and at 5 or 6 o'clock. And there was even a skit. I remember the narrator was saying, if you're there late, I'm talking 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock late, you might be gone. The fish might be already sold.
Just nothing left.
Nothing left.
You don't have anything to serve that day.
Or you serve fish that was caught 3 days ago, which is great. It's still good, but they're not gonna what would you say? They're
rate. Like they wouldn't rate your restaurant.
Well,
or...
they would just prefer something more fresh.
Right.
These guys, I'm talking, they'll pull a fish out of the ocean and they'll literally just cut into it.
Right.
Sample that piece.
When I did that episode for Chef's Table, one of the things we did, we woke up super fucking early, went down to downtown LA, and her brother ran a little like fish market down there, and they had all these huge tuna. I mean, like as big as this table tuna, and they're cut up. They're like diced up on the neck, and then on the fish's body, there's a piece of the internal fish, so you can see like the color compared to all the other fish around. So they would go around and they'd look at one. Okay, that looks good. And they'd go to the next one. And then by the end of it, the whole thing, she had purchased, one or two fish, some other there was, I forget what the other fish was, but it was real long, real skinny. There was just tons of them, dude. But she went down there, picked all these things out, and then went back to the restaurant to get ready for that evening. So exactly what you're saying. Like,
yeah, and there's many ways to figure how fresh a fish is.
Mm-hmm. Such as
you can look at the fish's eyes and see if it's hazy, glazed over, or if it's nice and clear. If you touch the fish, you can see how firm it is. That's a really good sign. Or if it's just so squishy, I don't know if you want to get into that.
Yeah.
You can go by smell as well, and also the inside of the fish's gills, how intact they are and the color that they are. Will show you how fresh the fish is.
Is there a difference between like saltwater and freshwater fish?
They're very similar in a way, except for the way that they process oxygen, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But another way you can check is, so the fishermen that I've seen in Japan, they'll find, like, they'll pull out this tuna and they'll literally cut a huge piece of tuna steak out of it, and they'll give that steak and they'll give it to the buyer to just inspect. And so if they like it, they'll buy that tuna, even though there's a gash of meat missing.
Right.
It doesn't matter. This tuna is huge, and they're going to make profit off of it.
Exactly. That's exactly what they did. She had the hookup. Her brother owned that place, so she kind of got the best of whatever. But yeah, these giant fish had a little chunk out of them, and then these restaurant owners or chefs or whatever were just going around rating them, trying to get the best cut, the best fish.
And that's awesome because not every restaurant owner does that,
no.
or has the luxury of doing that. That is like a luxury almost.
Absolutely, right. And think of the commitment that it takes. Most of the time, well, I guess all the time, the restaurant's business is the evening. You're serving dinner, you're serving the late evening snack.
It's a lot of commitment to where there's almost no work and life balance in Hawaii. On the weekends, I'll find myself coming home at 1:30, 2 in the morning. And the bars are already closed, so what am I going to do?
Right. Need like what do they call the weekend warrior bars or something like that?
Right.
Just they have like different, only if you work in the restaurant or that you're like a bouncer or something can you come in.
Yeah. Well, there's some large companies that I've learned recently, like office jobs, business jobs. In their break rooms, they offer alcohol. They just have beer on tap.
What?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Which by the way, I've been looking into the sales and marketing career, and I've been looking into it, looking at these companies everywhere, and in the benefits section, they'll offer kegerators, free beer, and I've confirmed it with a cousin of mine that is in the sales and marketing career field, and he says, we can go to the break room and grab a beer whenever you want.
Dude, that's coming from two places. One, it's coming from the tech industry. Google started that. Apple, all those big tech firms.
Really?
Yeah. Well, think about it. Before let's rewind 10 years ago. An office job was clean cut. You're gonna wear your button down shirt. You're gonna drink your coffee, your tea. None of that alcohol or whatever. But these tech giants came in there. Go, okay, put a ping pong table in that room.
Yes.
Sleep pods over here. They totally renovated that, and then. The amount of productivity that they generated just shocked the entire world, the entire business world. And so then everyone was like, okay, this is way too formal. The millennials, they just don't do things like we used to. Put in an Xbox 360 and a kegerator,
So yeah, that's awesome. I love that you mentioned this because I've been looking at these technology companies, software companies such as like Carbon Black, Sophos, even Fortune 500 companies like Oracle. You're talking to big companies. If you go to their website and look under careers or anything like that, you'll find the background picture of people having fun, playing ping pong, company picnics. They don't really show suit and ties, really, unless you go to, I don't know, I guess a law firm office.
Yeah, they're still pretty formal.
They're very formal.
I think
still,
it's left over from, I think it's World War either 1 or 2. That's where the 40-hour work week came in. We had to up production of everything. The women needed to go into the workforce because we needed to keep our economy going to win this war, to develop the weapons of whatever. And then the war ended and the 40-hour work week stuck around. Like that sort of momentum that we had just kind of stuck around. And it hasn't like slowed down at all until just recently, like maybe the past decade. So they had all this formality, all this, this is how we do it, A, B, C, until the internet came along. And then the internet comes along and the software comes along, these companies that build software or hardware come along, and they rewrite the rules from the top down. Say, this is how we get productivity. Stuffing someone in a cubicle for 40 plus hours a week will drone their mind, and your productivity is going to crash, and your creativity is going to sap out of them, and they're going to go home, they're going to hang themselves. It happens all the time. Look at Wall Street.
I'm actually glad that this is happening. Because
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right. Like, these guys sitting in cubicles, it's not going to work out because we're human. When we get a chance to lean, we're going to lean. We're going to be a little lazy from time to time. It just happens. We're human.
Yeah, that's where the creativity comes from. It's not, people will deem it lazy, but it's daydreaming. You allow your brain to kind of kick back into I think it's the alpha brain wave, where you're just kind of, you're there, but you're not really there. You kind of
millennials. Millennials is the answer. Just down the board.
Yeah, absolutely. You're relaxed and you kind of go, what would I do if I took a sandwich and threw rice and soy sauce together? What would, silly idea, right? But you continue that idea and you kind of play with it more and more, and then suddenly, boom, you're like,
that's how things come together.
That's exactly how things come together. And then, the tech companies, they kind of figured that out to where, how do we make things more creative? Playfulness.
I think I either seen a clip or read something about Steve Jobs and how hallucinogenic mushrooms is what inspired him to create Apple.
Acid.
The
LSD.
way it is. Was it acid?
It was LSD.
It was something harder.
It was LSD.
That's way harder than mushrooms. Never mind.
I guess it depends on the dose. Yeah. Did you watch any of the biopics or anything?
I have not.
Yeah. But the one with Ashton Kutcher, he drops acid and lays out. Because he was in San Francisco, which is like acid 101 back in the day, or back in the...
I think it still is. I have a cousin that moved up to San Fran, and I'm wondering why. And I seen her at this wedding a few months back. Crazy, because it's my younger cousin. I'm 22. She's probably 16 or 17, and I smoked pot with her.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, smoking pot at 16, I would have been like,
but
you bastard.
But it's something that
I
So keep in mind, I was in California, which was awesome, and I don't see this family often. And how in the world was I going to know that I was going to fly over 5 states away and we're over here chiefing up?
Right. Didn't expect that.
That was awesome, and it just wasn't my cousin. It was my uncle, my dad's brother.
Right. Didn't expect that.
Did not expect that.
Would blow my mind. It is a different culture, though.
If it's very accepted, over there. I was in the Home Depot parking lot, and you could just smell it. It's just going around like it's very, very casual, and no big deal about it. And I feel like maybe we're gonna see the same thing happen to marijuana with the introduction of a more relaxed work environment.
Absolutely.
It's just
agree,
it's something coming on.
Yeah, I think 1992 or 93 is when California passed their medical marijuana, and then California was kind of the place for marijuana, and then just lately Colorado and Washington and Alaska and all those places.
Even DC too.
Even DC.
Is it DC?
Yeah, DC.
Even
Washington.
DC.
Yeah, recreational, which is huge. No one ever expected that, but that's just the first push in the momentum of once again the millennials and the way that they think changing the world.
They're taking over.
Well,
I say we're taking over.
That's what's supposed to. You're supposed to pass the torch down, and that's what's happening. And just this last generation didn't want to give us the torch. They didn't want to get kicked out.
You take the values of this previous generation and the values that we hold today, they're very, very different.
Oh, yeah.
You don't see many people holding doors for each other,
Mm-hmm.
greeting each other, saying thank you and you're welcome.
You talking millennials?
Kinda.
Yeah.
It does happen though. You're gonna there's nice people everywhere, but at the same time, there's an even mix of people that are just to themselves. They keep to themselves. They're very introverted, and they're the people that don't really hold doors open for you.
Assholes. No, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. The internet is the one thing that changed us. You know, that's like the biggest. There's a lot of things that changed us, but the biggest thing was access to information, where I could get on, you know, a website and learn everything I need to know about choice meat and ranking meat. Right? That was not possible before. But what another side effect of that is you become introverted because I'm on the computer instead of going, hey, Randy, you went to culinary school. Do you know how to rank meat? You know, I just go straight to the computer and then I go, oh, okay, that's how you do it. Okay. And then, you know, there's no communication. So there is the side effect of the isolation of staying alone.
I think you have a good point. Back to what I was saying about Fridays and Saturdays where I don't find myself coming home late at night and the bars are closed. I actually get invited out to go to these just get-togethers with coworkers after work, and they'll be up 3 o'clock in the morning just having some beers and drinking. But I actually don't go to those. I just would prefer to get in my truck and go home and just relax my own place. And I've been invited. Like I got invited this past weekend, and they were giving me a lot of crap for not going because I bailed out on them 5 times in the past before.
Right.
Just because I simply don't want to go, not because I don't like them, but because I want to be more introverted and keep to myself.
Is it because you're just kind of worn out from the day, or you feel more comfortable in your own living quarters?
Both, and I think what has to do with that is just this technology. I feel like I have, I don't know, it's just this power in a cell phone that has gotten me used to and accustomed to just figuring things out by myself.
Well, it's your own little private world.
Oh yeah,
I mean, all your notes. Those are all your thoughts, all your pictures, are everything that you've seen in the past, however long you've been taking pictures on your phone, your entire search history on your internet. Like, your device knows more about you than any of your family members do.
It does. I'll get on my Pandora app and I'll see stations created years ago, 2012, 2013, which wasn't that long ago. But I'll get back on those stations and this song will come up and I'm like, oh, I don't like this song. And I look at it and I thumbed it up.
Yeah.
I thumbed it up 3 years ago. I just forgot.
Thumbed it up.
I thumbed it up. I liked it. Well, I don't anymore, so I'm gonna unthumb it. You know?
Right.
And it's crazy. But then at the same time, I'll thumb it back because I think to myself, dude, this is what I used to listen to. This is the person that I used to be.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep this as memory. Create new radio station.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have that, like almost like a soundtrack to your life, to where when you hear a certain type of music or even like a particular song, it elicits some sort of memory, even like an emotional memory. Like, I can think of one like a Skyrim soundtrack, to where my wife and I, girlfriend at the time, wife now, played this Skyrim track as we drove around Yosemite. We had the windows down, this Skyrim, you know, this like instrumental fantasy type song is playing, and it was like majestic. You had these huge, beautiful mountainous trees, this crisp air, you know, just a little bit of fog in the air, and this beautiful violin playing, you know. I still like that song, but every time I hear it, I'm in Yosemite. It's connected to that memory.
Yes, absolutely. I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah. This is also the first time in history that you have your little device, or people have their own little device full of their own music, because prior to like CD players or tape players, music was a community thing. You had a record player. There was no like headphones. Like, you couldn't listen to music by yourself.
Are you talking vinyl?
Yeah, I'm talking vinyl.
Because I think a lot of hipsters, I call them hipsters.
Oh, for sure.
They're bringing back this age of listening and buying vinyl records.
Well, what do you think that is? Because that's definitely a millennial thing, you know. That's that farm to table thing right there.
I think it's a mixture of people just trying to be hip and a mixture of people actually genuinely think that it's cool, and a mixture of both.
Yeah.
I think it's just a trend. It's a fashion thing.
In a way.
Think about subwoofers, okay? 1990s up to the early 21st century. it was cool to have subwoofers in your trunk, but
mhm.
now nobody really does that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we're all on to backup cameras now
Yeah.
and things like that.
Right.
We don't care about subwoofers in the trunk anymore.
Right.
Really.
I would take a pair of subwoofers.
I mean, I would still also take it. You know.
I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, but this movement of, if you want to call it a movement, or like this desire for the real and not this prefab type thing, like custom made. Like, think of Etsy, the website Etsy. Everything, or a vast majority of Etsy, is custom made jewelry, art, pictures, paintings, whatever it is, furniture. So this drive of what is flea markets and whatnot. If you could go to IKEA and buy a desk, or you can go to a flea market and buy like this archaic looking, sort of old. It's got historical features into it, a little scratch here, like there's character to that desk rather than just buying something from IKEA. That the drive is that we've been given this prefab world as people growing up. Everyone gets the same this, everyone gets the same that. Plastic this, it breaks, it's all a piece of shit. But then you get older and you're like, oh, I want something real. So that's the drive. Instead of getting a CD or downloading an MP3, you want that vinyl record that plays, I don't know how many kilobytes it does. It's a beautiful sound, supposedly. I know nothing about it, but
it sounds like regular music.
Yeah.
it plays music through a speaker still, and it's great.
Yeah, but all your skills in your mouth, my friend. Your culinary comes from the taste buds.
Yeah. But no, now that you explain that, I actually have a better understanding of what you're saying about people wanting something with character.
Mm-hmm.
That makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about it in the food type way, it reflects the farm to table. So instead of, you sit down and you get a chicken breast from Tyson that was loaded with antibiotics and it grown
pumped up with so many solutions.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Just brines to make it juicier
Yeah,
and taste better.
You have this poor chicken that lived a horrible life and it was thrown around as a chick and all this kind of stuff, and then at the very end of it, there goes his head, and they just rip him off. They cut up its meat so terribly, they waste a ton of it. They toss the body onto the next chicken, right? Or you have this small town farmer, or this like very rural type, what do they call those? Like a homestead, where every chicken just lives a chicken life. It runs around the yard, it lays these beautiful brown eggs, and then at the end of the day, they whack its head off, and it's all organic, and they process it in a very humane way. And then Chef Randy serves you this organic chicken breast, how he prepares it the way he wants it.
There really is a difference in taste. You
Huge
may not.
difference.
I don't really say it too much when it's fruit and vegetables. I haven't experienced that much, but when it comes to organic meat and processed meat that comes from, like, say, Tyson or OK Foods, the fresh organic stuff has better taste.
Absolutely.
It's a more clear taste. It's a more vivid taste to your tongue. It just tastes better.
Like fuller, would you say?
More
it's like
flavor. It's
Yeah.
more flavor. It's very, very full.
And even the visuals of it, like I butchered 6 chickens maybe a month ago, and when I pull out the thing, I get a bag of chicken breast from Sam's, and I pull one out, and then versus what I butchered myself, there's deeper color, there's more redness to it, there's more blood, it's bigger in size, and like you said, the flavor is just incredible.
The when we're talking about flavor, I think the best experiment that anybody could do is actually get a farm raised egg and get an egg from the supermarket and do a side by side. That's the most cheapest and affordable thing I can think of. The farm raised egg by far has more incredible taste.
Just depth of color in the yolk.
The yolk is so creamy. It's good. If you don't like eggs, you might actually like organic eggs.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It when you first do it, you almost get a little freaked out. You're like, "What's wrong with this egg? Why is it so dark? It's like almost orange." But that's how it should be.
I gotta tell you, whenever my parents and I first moved to the Midwest, it was in like 2001. I was about 6 or 7 years old, and they actually bought a chicken house.
Nice.
Not like a shed, but like we actually was on a farm. And,
okay.
and I forget the company, but But we started out with one big chicken house. I don't know how big it was, like I don't know, like 80 feet, 100 foot. You know,
That's
one of
a
those
big
big
house.
industrial
Oh, you're
houses.
talking big
And it
houses.
wasn't a broiler chicken house. It was a laying house to where
okay.
down the sides of the whole house there was nest. It was like a chicken house, a chicken coop
Yeah.
that was on a cable, and it would
Yeah.
go up and it would go down. And whenever
Picking
the
up
chicken,
eggs.
yeah, well, it was a whole house. It was like a cubby. Imagine a locker. Imagine a small locker,
Yeah.
and that's what the chickens would go into.
Oh, okay, right.
They would
right,
lay their eggs, and when the eggs were laid, it was on a decline, and the eggs would roll onto a conveyor belt. So as soon as the chicken popped the egg out, it would roll onto a conveyor belt,
Yeah.
and that's where it would sit
Yeah.
until you turn that conveyor belt on, and it would just slowly roll the eggs over.
How many eggs are you getting in a house that big?
A lot,
Hundreds.
thousands,
Thousands?
thousands. There's an old picture of my dad in a walk-in cooler. Of that chicken house. It was a walk-in cooler, like as big as the ones in downstream.
Just eggs.
Just eggs, pallets of eggs that are hand-picked, literally hand-picked
right.
by him and his helpers.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of hard work. He would get up at 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and at the time there was one house, so there was 2 conveyor belts in one house.
Right.
So it was up to him and his farmhand to just pick eggs that first round. After they were done picking eggs, they would actually suit up and go into the house and find dead chickens.
Oh, right.
And other eggs that were laid miscellaneously in other spots. Because there were so many chickens in there, some of them would just suffocate each other and stomp over each other, or just some of them just didn't make it.
Right.
So, in essence, I forgot my thought process.
Chicken house.
Chicken house. There was a lot of
farm to
chickens,
table.
and there was a lot of eggs. And in fact, we were doing so well that
Love you.
my parents actually bought another. Like they added on another house. Like they got like a contract or something, and the company built them another house. So we had 2 houses now, 2 walk-ins, and 4 conveyor belts. It was a lot of work, man.
Were you working there too?
I
Were you
was.
doing
I
some?
probably wasn't supposed to, but I mean, it was a very well sterilized place. Before
Yeah.
you even walked in, you had to walk through like when you say you walk into a house, you walk into someone's kitchen or
Right.
living room. You would walk into a bathroom
Oh.
to where you had to take your clothes off,
Right.
shower, and then walk into the sterilized area and put on rubber boots and a suit.
Wow.
And that's where you can go in and walk around. There's
Yeah.
no break, the bathroom.
Did you have to wear like
things
a mask or anything when you're in there?
only when you went to the house.
Like where the chickens were?
Yeah, where the chickens were. I mean, it's a lot of like, I don't know. It just kind of smelled bad too. A lot
Sure.
Of times.
Why don't you put that many chickens together?
So it was a combination of these 2 huge chicken houses and 40 acres of land with some cattle.
Wow.
And it was like a lot of work. Like farming, man, is hard work.
Oh, absolutely.
So I always tried to always respect the farmer,
Yeah.
dude. Like, I mean, my parents are out of that business now. They're
Oh, okay.
they're older. Plus, I guess my dad was just allergic to some of the chemicals that were used because it's very natural. Like a lot of times when a chicken lays its egg, other things would come out.
Oh, right.
Blood, fecal matter.
Jesus.
A lot of times the eggs were clean. It was actually just a clean egg, but there's sometimes you would get in a dirty egg with fecal matter or blood on it. And
Right.
you had to pick that and you had to put it into a separate pile.
Huh.
And when that pile was full, you would spray chemicals on it, and it washes it all off and
Right.
it sterilizes it and stuff. And I guess it also had negative effects if it touched your skin or if you breathed it in.
Right.
It was just bad on your health.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of those pesticides and fungicides and all that, I mean, they're not very good for you, especially with the microbiota that you have within the human body. You know, they just get taken out pretty good.
So one of the coolest things that I learned while I was living that life was that sometimes you would get a double yolked egg. You know what I'm talking about? The twin egg, and it was crazy because because you could identify it vividly because when that double yolk egg would come in, it would be an egg and a half bigger than a regular egg, or sometimes twice the size.
The actual shell.
The actual egg itself is
be
like
huge.
almost the size of I'd be exaggerating, but almost the size of a tennis ball, just a little bit smaller.
Right.
And it was huge.
That's the chicken when you want. You make that chicken breed.
You know, it had
We
two
want eggs
yolks
that
in
big.
it. And it was cool. It was cool. And, you would crack it into a sauté pan, and it looked like you had 2 eggs, but it was just one.
So what's your opinion on like these factory farms that produce massive amounts of either like animal product or these monocrops, like the fields full of corn and soybeans? Yes, they do feed the world, but the ethics behind it.
The ethics behind it, that's such a wide field of ethics behind it, because talking about animals and lifestyle, I mean, there's no doubt that there are probably bad conditions, even in the United States and everywhere else, that treat these animals the way that they treat them, and eventually they make their way to the supermarkets. I try not to personally think about them. It's a cycle of life. I have a more liberal stance on it. At the same time, I can also be conservative about it. I will also stand and say, that's so inhumane for that chicken to be living like that, or for these pigs to be living the way that they live before they get slaughtered. But that's just almost a fact of life. It kind of sucks to say that, but I try to see both sides of the argument, because if you only see one side, not the other side, then you don't have an argument. You gotta at least try to comprehend what's going on the other side of the argument.
But then pick a side and then
pick a side and argue from there.
But to at least have some sort of empathetic view. Like
you kind of have to. You got to have sympathy, because we're humans.
Right.
You have to. I mean, I guess some people don't, but they're just a special of their own. I guess.
You're right. People who disregard human life, or say that a pig's life is more valuable than a human life. It's hard to say that.
It is
For me,
really hard to say that,
but it's true, right?
It is very true.
I will pick a human any day over a pig. I'm sorry,
of course. It's just our breed. We're always going to go with our race.
Yeah.
I guess that's why cannibalism is it's frowned upon.
Right. No matter what race or what tribe you come from, or what culture I was looking for, not too many people are like, cannibalism.
Yeah. And so whenever we see cannibalism happen among other species and organisms of its own, us humans, I think we're fascinated by that, and we look into that like, wow, this thing is eating its own kind.
Yeah.
What is, like, fish? Don't fish do that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bear do that.
Yeah.
Lions.
And it's crazy. So I guess biologists or people involved in that sort of stuff, they want to know the science behind that. What makes it okay for a bear to eat each other, but not humans?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't go out to the grocery store and say, wow, look at that. I mean, well, actually, I do. Wow, look at that thigh on that chick. But I'm not going to, I can't wait to eat that up. Well, man.
Can I get some barbecue sauce? Yeah, a lot of that stuff, they call it, what is it, infantile side? Is that how you say it?
I have no clue.
A lot of that's based out of evolutionary, like just like dolphins will do it. I don't think they eat their own, but they will kill the babies, like the lions. Lions are a great example, this whole Cecil thing. When the older lions of the pride get past their breeding age, or like say another lion comes in from a pride, a male lion takes over that other pride that he's coming into, he will go around and kill every cub, because that's not his cub. He will kill every cub, just kill him. That puts the females back into heat. He mates with these females, and now the pride is literally his own pride. The genetics of every cub. Superiority, yeah. It's a move of superiority. The bears, on the other hand, the bears are just hungry. The bears are just savage. The ones that wake up, the males that wake up from hibernation, and they find a sow and her cub, and they'll just eat the cub. They don't give a shit. They're just... Well, I mean, I guess that does put the sow back into heat, so he has like a chance. Like, I just ate your kid, but now we're gonna fuck. But
we're gonna make more, and I'm gonna eat them up too.
I would not be surprised if they would do that. But there's weird little evolutionary pushes or drives that these males will kill other things. But you know how the females get around it?
How do they do that?
They fuck everybody.
Oh yeah, they're the biggest monsters.
The bears?
Females.
Oh. Yeah. All right, man. I don't know if I want to go there. I don't know. I need to get a girl on the podcast.
I feel like we're just missing something on this podcast, and it's just something.
It's
something.
an XX chromosome. That's what we need on this podcast. No. Like for example, dolphins. Like dolphins will just fuck every other dolphin. Like a female dolphin will just bang every male dolphin, because that's what happens. And so will primates like bonobos and chimpanzees and gorillas, because when they have their offspring, and the primal male comes up and goes, you might be my kid. I can't kill you. You might be mine. Even though you're probably like Steve's, you might be mine. So that's how they get around that, so they don't get killed.
So I'm thinking, is that I've never been to Florida before, but you hear about these parties that go on in Florida, like frat parties and
swingers?
stuff. Yeah, like, so is that what happens when you go to that? Is I'm just gonna fuck everybody. I'm on vacation, YOLO.
Well, humans are very strange. I mean, our sex, like the amount. Have you ever read Sex at Dawn?
I have not.
There's a book called Sex at Dawn by Christopher Ryan, and he's amazing. He has his own podcast called Tangentially Speaking. Wow, more coffee is needed.
Yeah.
Great podcast. He is like an evolutionary biologist, psychologist kind of guy, fascinating guy. But he wrote this book called Sex at Dawn, and basically just tracks Homo sapien sexuality from whenever we broke off from our common ancestor till now. And back in the day, sex was used for all sorts of things, for making up for fights, for showing love, affection, and strengthening bonds. Because back in the day, Homo sapiens were in small hunter-gatherer groups.
Making up for fights?
Yeah, making up for fights.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me just put this inside you.
Yep. Because that bonds you back. Then you're like, imagine, think about when you've had sex, how amazing it feels afterwards and how connected you feel with that person.
Well, sometimes after it happens, I just kind of lay there and I try to scoot myself away.
You need to leave. Yeah, but I mean, now let's picture you with a small tribe in the middle of the Sahara and everything wants to kill you. It's like, okay, how do we strengthen everyone's bonds? Everybody fuck everybody. Everybody's cool with it.
I mean,
you're not buying this theory.
I'm trying
I need to project it better.
I think what you're telling me is the history of how STDs developed. Is what you're telling me.
You think about that, where there should be a lot of STDs, but I don't know. I don't feel like it would be back in the day. But if you project it to a planet full of 7 billion people with air travel, where you and I get on a plane, we'll be in Thailand in 10 hours or whatever. Yeah, now STDs are a real problem.
And then you start thinking, how did they even develop? Like,
right.
How did that even happen? Then how
like where'd they come from?
Where do they come from? But then that same question could be asked about other diseases as well.
Right. Just bacteria and
bacteria
protozoa
alone,
and all those little things.
And how it affects humans. And it creates these things that we call, like, say, influenza and, I don't know, like hives and other medical conditions that happen to people, which, I mean, a lot of people used to die from the flu.
Right.
But now people don't really die from the flu anymore because there's technological advances.
I mean, just think of like polio. Polio is basically just gone.
Yeah, crazy.
Through human intervention. We figured it out.
So 50 years from now, is everything going to be gone, or is
possibly,
or are we being suppressed with information?
Here
comes the conspiracy talk.
Oh, here we go. You have the possibility of two things happening. And it's exactly what you just said. The two things. Will everything be rendered, done, eradicated, a utopia, or are we going to go in the opposite direction? So you have genetic manipulation, which is going to be a huge thing, where we can tap into some retrovirus and figure out how to dismantle it, or build a vaccine that gets rid of any sort of bacterial infections or destroys protozoa. You have the nanotechnology that would come in. You inject yourself with nanobots that search your body and go, boom, there's a little worm.
And it would create that perfect utopian world where everything is just perfect.
As far as health-wise, right?
Health-wise, yes.
Where you have like apps that would track, any sort of cancer that you have in your body. Hey, Randy, you have cancer in your finger. You need to take care of it. Okay, cancer's done.
Speaking of things that you can attach to your body like that, I was thinking to myself the other day, in the kitchen. It's very stressful. People yell and sweat, and so I'm thinking, wouldn't
Florida.
Yeah, wouldn't that be an awesome idea if there was a way we could put monitors on our bodies, like on your wrist or your fingers, to monitor your blood pressure and your stress levels wirelessly to a TV that goes to the executive chef's office, even the servers, so you can see the stress level of Randy, and then say Colton and Dave
Right.
and everyone.
Yeah, right.
So you can see, okay, this guy's doing good. He's just
Yeah.
making salads. But if you look at the guy over here on the saute station, he's going into the red. Like
Right.
there's a lot of heart pressure or heart beating, and,
Right.
and yeah, you know.
A lot of perspiring.
Oh yeah, and and so I think it'd be really cool to have a real time monitor
Mm-hmm.
on real time people working, doing what they do.
What would the executive chef do? Like if he sees, like, let's say he sees a server losing her shit.
Yeah, and he looks on this TV, and
Yeah.
just the line graph
Yeah.
is going off the
Right.
graph.
Yeah.
It's just blowing
What's he
up.
do?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
He's just like,
Well,
Damn.
sometimes they're not there.
yeah, that's true. Well, he's in his office watching this on the TV. Think about this. I like this idea. I'm going to build on it and see what you think. So everyone's wired up. Everyone's got your bracelet, right? So-and-so's on the saute station, and he's getting a little overwhelmed. And then so-and-so's making salads. What if you had like a little, say, Apple Watch that buzzed, and say you're on the salads and I'm dying in the saute, and it buzzed and it says switch places with Randy. So you and I just go, okay, Randy, you take over because you're cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so then I can go calm down, throw some salads together. It's not as busy over here, and I kind of calm down, and my levels balance out. And then you kind of go up a little bit because it's a little more intense over here. Not that you're redlining, but then you kind of balance out, and then the night goes on.
I like the use of redlining. I like that because
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm getting at. Is like a sort of gauge, a stress gauge in
Yeah.
a way, to just alert other people in your vicinity of what's going on with this guy, because it's
Yeah.
a very high stress job, and I'm sure it could be applied to even more related fields, such as in the medical industry. Put it in hospitals, like put it
big
on
time.
nurses and doctors and see what
Yeah.
it says. Like these
Right.
guys are saving lives; they're not
Right.
feeding lives.
It's almost like a tag team type thing, like wrestling. It's like, I'm getting my ass whooped. It's your time. You going, like you slap hands, you switch places, and now you're fresh, you're good to go, and you can take on this problem. I can get a little breather, and then when you kind of get winded, tag me back in.
I love wrestling, actually. By the way.
Oh, yeah?
because okay, everyone knows it's fake, but it's choreographed. Mm-hmm. It's like acting. It's like doing what an actor does, plus more,
Plus more.
and these guys are so good at it.
And think of it. I've never thought about this till you just said it, but think about how much time these guys have to put into the gym just to look the way they look.
And not only
I know a
that,
lot of
but
it's
to
probably
look
steroids,
to
but-
look the way they look and to be as functional as they
Mm-hmm.
are. You have 250-pound plus guys just pressing each other,
Right.
With no momentum.
A lot of
Strictly,
aerobics
yeah,
or
just
acrobat, or what would you call it? What would you... Gymnastics? I
aerobatics,
don't know, yeah. Flying around the ring,
flying
jumping
around,
off.
doing flips and
Yeah.
shit, and
Then you're 250 pounds, your deltoids and your traps are humongous.
yeah, just,
And you have lines. Don't forget your fucking lines.
dude, there was somebody. I was at the gym yesterday, and I don't even remember if it was a guy or was a girl, but they were really fit.
Yeah.
And I was just admiring that
Yeah.
in a very neutral way. And I happened to look down at their feet, and I saw that their ankle was exposed, and there was a vein running up. On their there was a that's how fit this person was. There was a visible vein on their ankle.
Just the body fat was so low. The percentage
Very
was
low,
so low.
and I just noticed that really quick, and I went on, but when I noticed it, I was like, wow, like this feat of personal engineering, I guess.
yeah,
is
it's like a
just
body
amazing
sculpting,
now.
right?
Yeah, because growing up, I never played sports. I've never been involved in anything like that. I was a nerd, and I was a band geek.
What'd you play? Guitar, right?
Well, I started out on the drums in like the middle school band, and eventually I got onto playing guitar. Quick story on that: I never wanted to play the guitar. I didn't really care for it. My mom signed me up for drum lessons when I was like in 5th grade.
Okay.
And she just went ahead and was like, oh, and put him in for guitar too. And I remember her on the phone. I remember that day, and I rember her saying that, and I kept yelling at her, no, I don't want to play guitar.
Why? Well,
I just didn't like it. I don't know, because I didn't really like, because I had just moved to this Midwestern, it was like 2002, so I was really young, and I didn't really know anything, and I seen a lot of country music videos, and
With guitars.
and I just didn't really like country music,
Right.
so I didn't want to play the guitar.
Right.
I didn't know anything,
You
I
didn't
just
see like
wanted to play-
AC/DC type
No,
stuff?
no,
Just-
not. I didn't really realize that. I knew it, but I didn't realize that.
Right. You just associated it with a type of music that you were not fond of.
Yes, I guess I wasn't fully developed yet.
That's okay. Go ahead.
So I remember complaining about it, but I went ahead and went on with it. And now to this day, I'm more adept at the guitar than I am the drums, and I play the guitar more than I do the drums.
I mean, they say that a musician's mind increases IQ, increases creative thought, just learning about music, learning how to perform music.
Well, I'm actually so glad that I went through that. I took lessons for a year, and that's all I did. I took it for a year, enough to where I kind of knew things, and I just took it from there.
And now you have like YouTube. You could type in YouTube and like tell me how to learn this song, and you'll have someone that goes through every chord and every little thing.
And there's numerous softwares and so many tools you can use to help you. I mean, I don't know how music lessons are now and how much they cost, but back then, like I remember, it's just expensive, man.
Yeah, it is pretty expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah, well, it's a very valuable skill, especially to be able to finger a bunch of strings on a crazy looking instrument that's all synced up, and then try to add in singing with that, like remembering words and melodies and tunes. Like I tried to play guitar for a while. My brain just doesn't work that way, man. I tried to sing and it would just break.
Yeah.
Then my fingers would go all crazy, and no, that's it.
Well, there's a lot of styles and methods. I first learned it playing guitar on an electric guitar. I learned each string individually. That's how they taught me, is each individual string and each fret on that string.
Wow.
It was crazy. I learned how to read music. I could read treble clef music. Now, probably not as good. I'd probably have to study it and then tell you what notes they are.
Yeah, right.
Versus my 10-year-old self, which I was just playing it, dude.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I kind of went off of that and started learning to read music a different way, and that's what I did. So I went from the electric guitar. I went from playing things like Green Day, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I don't want to be American.
Yeah, that's what I liked. That's what I liked. And then I moved on, slowly moved on to stuff like Metallica. And then after that, next thing you knew, I moved on to college, and I was in a college dorm room. Couldn't have my electric guitar, so I brought my acoustic guitar.
Okay. Why couldn't you have your electric guitar?
Well, because it was too loud.
Oh, okay.
I could have had it, but I just chose not to because there was so much stuff you had to, chords and hardware and stuff. So I just brought my acoustic along the way with me. And ever since then, probably about 2012, I just haven't really played the electric too much. And so I started picking up on, instead of playing these crazy rock riffs and alternative stuff, I started playing fingerstyle music guitar.
Like
almost like a classical guitar kind of way where you play the rhythm and melody at the same time with no singing, but you know what song it is.
Right.
And it's kind of hard for me to explain unless you look it up on like a YouTube or something. But that's like I watched this Korean guitarist. He goes by the name of Sung-ha Jung, and he plays these guitar covers of really hit songs, and he makes them sound awesome.
But he plays it like in a classical?
In a classical way. There's
that him?
Right there. That video is the very first song I learned to play this way.
Maroon 5 Payphone.
Well, actually, not. Oh, it's not Payphone. It's She Will Be Loved. He has a cover of She Will Be Loved, and it's awesome. It's a really good.
And it's classical.
And it's a classic guitar, and I mean, I just want to show you maybe like 10 seconds of it. Like, it's so beautiful.
So there's a big difference, but here it is. Boom.
There's
7 million views.
There's a huge difference.
Shit.
4
million
This
subscribers?
guy is very good.
Holy crap.
And there's other people just like him.
She Will Be Loved, Maroon 5.
Arranged.
How do you say that name?
Sung-ha Jung, I think.
Sung-ha Jung.
I don't know.
Well, that's nice. The acoustic version of songs are really nice.
It
really
is very
relaxing.
good. But there's no vocals in this. But you can follow along
Right.
perfectly.
This has a good flow. Does he have something on his finger, or is that just like a Band-Aid?
That is a finger pick.
Oh, okay.
So instead of holding a regular pick, it just slips onto your finger.
Is that better for what he's doing right now, like that?
I actually have a set at home.
Okay. You don't wear one on each finger, do you?
I wear it on my 3 fingers. I omit my pinky and my thumb, but they do make them for pinkies and thumbs. I just don't use them.
He's wearing it on his thumb. See, this acoustic stuff, it's like not overwhelming. Even if the song was overwhelming, it just brings it down to a level that you could play at maybe like a little like cocktail gathering,
Yes.
or if you're just hanging out with some friends.
So-
Just fills the background.
So if you listen to it for 5 seconds, you can hear he's playing the chorus to this song that everybody knows. There's no words, but you know what it is.
right, you pick up on it and say, "Oh, she will be loved."
and he has so many other music videos on there. Like one off the top of my head is there's a George Michael cover on there. Last Christmas. It was like a 1980 song. It's great. This guy covers just almost any genre, and he makes it his own.
What's that one guy? He makes everything classical. He took like Down with the Sickness. Last Christmas. Oh, what's his name? Richard Cheese.
I don't know. I don't know too many about these artists.
Dude. Let me see if I can find it. But there's a guy that does similar things. He takes the hardest metal or the gangsterous rap and then puts it to like a Frank Sinatra type classic. So like, come on, get on with the sickness, and you have like this like jazz band in the background. I'm gonna find it for you.
All right, I'm actually interested in this.
Is it Richard Cheese?
Oh,
there it is, dude. Listen to this. Richard Cheese, Down with the Sickness, and he does all these sorts of covers, but he makes them like very classical, very 40s. There it is.
Okay, so it's got like a jazziness to it.
Almost like a I think like a Frank Sinatra type thing.
I had never really gotten to Frank Sinatra.
Oh, it's great if you have like a wine party.
Somebody was playing it one day at work, and I was like, "What is this?" And I got so much crap.
Really?
So much crap.
Hey, dude, it's all right. Just asking questions.
Down with the sickness.
He does that. Let's see. He does one like he does some like hardcore gangster rap.
Oh, okay, we got Snoop Dogg in them.
Gin and
Gin and juice.
Yeah, he's good. I like him. He's been around for quite a while.
I've never heard of this guy.
This looks like someone made a... No, this is Richard Cheese official. This must be Richard Cheese. I don't even know what he looks like. This is nice, relaxing music. You can just kind of hang out to it.
Oh, goodness. Here.
See? It's great, dude. You could play Snoop Dogg and your grandparents won't even know. They'll be like, this song's really good. Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.
Now,
Anyway.
that song, I think, is... there's a bartender that goes by Christopher LeTurner. That's one of his songs.
He's been on the podcast.
Yes, he loves that song.
He does?
Yes. Next time you see him, just whisper in his ear, "Hey,
Bitches ain't shit.
hoes and tricks," and he'll just be like, "Ah, yeah."
I'll tell you what other song he likes. He likes Wheel Walker Jr.'s Eating Pussy and Kicking Ass. Have you ever heard Wheel Walker Jr.?
This sounds familiar.
You probably have heard it. I played this song for him. Oh, no, I'll show you the music video. It's much better. I played this song for him after work one night, and I've never seen him laugh harder. Like, I thought he might have a slight stroke or something. He was, like, falling out of his chair. It was scary.
Oh, dude, I've seen this.
You've seen this one?
This is crazy. Yeah, I've seen this.
Friday night, my boss man, he's such a jerk.
This guy's name is Wheel Walker Jr., if anybody wants to look him up. He's been on, like, the Joe Rogan podcast, and... Everyone looking at him, dude. It's so good. But yeah, Chris likes this song. Like that you could just start singing it and he'll just start laughing. As he's making drinks, just start forgetting what he's doing. Chris is awesome, dude.
He's a good guy.
He almost took some time off. He was going to take some time. He was going to quit Downstream. He was going to retire and collect like the money from that. Go out to New Mexico and go to a rehab center where he would only eat organic food, detox from any sort of pharmaceuticals or caffeine or anything like that. Totally like a month or two of that, and then like introduce himself into the world. And
He's a very unique individual. For the people that know Chris and the things that he used to do, and then you look at him and what he does now, and I guess what you're saying, what he plans on doing in the future,
I bet it's going to happen, yeah.
He's such a unique individual.
Yeah, his story is fascinating. I mean, he just came out of just regular Galena, Kansas, and his dad was a judge. I can't remember what county, but he was like a county judge. His mom's still around. Ruby's still around. She comes in the restaurant, but he lived all over. He lived in Vegas for a long time, and he lived in different parts of out west, California. But just a fascinating character, just a very, like you say, very eccentric mind, and just has stories upon stories upon stories of what he's done in the past.
I think in this world you may find somebody that looks like him. You might find a lookalike, but you're not going to find the personality and the energy that this guy has.
No, that guy draws in so many customers to the bar just because he's awesome. He's such a good soul.
Last time I went to Downstream, I actually went to Red Oak just to get drinks made by him.
Yep.
And I had 2 cocktails from him, and it was one of the best cocktails I've ever had in my life.
Oh yeah, he's great. It'll be a fascinating. Well, it'll be a terribly sad day, but very interesting day to see what happens to Red Oak when he leaves or whatever. I just can't disassociate the two. Like Red Oak Bar is Chris. Chris is the Red Oak Bar.
Yeah, and if it was anybody else, I would just say, hey man, the show is gonna still go on.
Yeah, right.
There might actually be a pause.
Yeah, there'll be a strange little moment when he decides to leave that place. He's a cool man. You listen to the podcast with him?
I did actually for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Talked about like Laughlin, I think, and got into abortion. He brought that up.
he got into some subjects that he told me after the podcast. He was like, "Hey, I think I got in trouble."
Oh no, you listened to the first podcast with him, like when this was called the Podcast.
Oh,
we recorded it at his house. That one, probably that one. He strange story. He had like one of his buddies living with him in his backyard. I don't really know the details, but he was paying him to like redo his roof. But the guy wasn't redoing his roof. He was just taking the money. And very strange scenario, but he mentioned it on the podcast. This guy was living in like Wisconsin, Minnesota, somewhere up north. Gave him a call and just bitched him out for like an hour because we never mentioned his name, but the story just fit this guy. This guy was like, "That's me."
So I love how you started out the story. So there's this guy that was living in his backyard, and I was like, oh, here we go. This is gonna be great.
Yeah.
So the guy that's in Wisconsin right now, he said, he actually got a hold of that podcast.
Yeah. Saw that I had tagged Chris in the Facebook post, like, hey, I had a podcast with Christopher Latourneau. That's like my strategy. So like whenever I bring a guest on, I tag you, then all your friends. Like say you have 2,000 friends on Facebook. Now all 2,000 of your friends have the possibility of seeing my podcast. So they might tune in. They go, hey, I like this. So if I get even one, follower, that's just one more follower towards my podcast. And then people will listen to it. Like your buddy, everyone that knows you is going to want to listen. Jake Welsh was psyched when I told him that you were going to be on.
Jake Welsh, that's, I was texting him yesterday. We were going back and forth around noon to 2 o'clock.
Oh, yeah? What happened around that time?
Oh, well, we were watching one of the best football games of 2016, actually. Well, actually, it's an overstatement. I wouldn't say best, but, it was our 2 favorite teams going at it. It's the Dolphins and the New England Patriots. And there was just a bunch of unsportsmanlike trash talk going back and forth.
Between you two.
Yeah, between
not
us
the players or anything.
Not the players, no. I mean, speaking of sports, I was just thinking the other day, and I was talking to somebody about this. I was like, the real reason we watch sports is because we're just admiring and we're appreciating the athletic ability of these people have to offer. And that's what we enjoy watching. And I didn't really realize that until I actually thought about it myself. Like, because growing up, my father he still does. He loves football, but I hated it because I wanted to watch my own cartoons. I wanted to play my Nintendo 64. And
Shout out to the 64.
64, and this was when each household, I guess, would just have one TV in the whole.
right.
You know, back in that era, and he would. Oh, I don't know why. It just seemed like football was playing every day, Sunday through Sunday.
Even
It just,
the replay, you know.
even the replays in college and NFL. Like I felt like it was just on every day, and that's what was on TV. And I wanted to do my own thing, and of course, I got my way a few times. You
Right,
know,
when the game didn't really matter.
but now it's like I guess it's just growing up and you hit this different maturity and you start liking different things, and I don't even know when I started watching football. It just caught my attention, and you know, I was getting curious about it, so I started researching the sport and everything, and I'm like, why do I like it? Oh, it's because I like it when this guy is running 120 miles an hour down this field with the ball, just going zip really, really, really quick, and it's very, very cool. It's just something for somebody to admire and just appreciate.
There's also
athleticism.
yeah, absolutely, and just the dedication that these athletes have to the particular sport. They can do something, you know, like let's just pretend like catching a ball, like pretty simple. Like if I say, hey, catch this, if I threw a tennis ball, you'd catch it, you know, you'd be fine. But these guys go so into depth, and you know they have special gloves. They grip the ball, and they can catch it one-handed, behind the back, you know, all sorts of things. So they just take it to just a level that, you know, is unprecedented to an average cat like you and me.
It is because I look at these guys' average sprint times. They're 40-yard sprints. Oh, come on.
And how much they weigh and how big they are.
And they're sprinting 40 yards in 4.5 seconds. Are you kidding me? That's a second every 10 yards.
Trucking it. Oh my God.
Like, it's talking about a big Mack truck just going at it.
Oh, the momentum that you would feel if that thing crushed you would be.
But at the same time, when it happens, it just gets people like you and I just yeah, like that's awesome. Like
Yeah.
I remember watching, I think it was in the preseason, it was a Seattle Seahawks going against the Dallas Cowboys, and it was the Dallas's new rookie running back, Ezekiel Elliott. He's running this ball, and he runs right into Cam Chancellor, the strong safety for Seattle runs. I don't know if you've seen what I'm talking about. It's this year's preseason. They truck each other, just crack. Like you're talking about this rookie going up against a veteran safety like Cam Chancellor.
Knows what he's doing.
The hardest hitting guy that people say in the NFL. Like it's
Like the new Ed Reed.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know who that is.
You don't know Ed Reed?
Well, see, I just started watching football since I don't know.
When? Since when?
Since I don't know. See, that's what I was saying. I don't
Just
know.
kind of crept up on you.
Seriously, just started creeping up on me, and people. I tell people, yeah, my favorite team is New England Patriots, and they're like, oh, you're a bandwagon. And I was like, no, not really. I just kind of growing up, I seen the Patriots logo everywhere because I guess I grew up for the first 10 years in New England.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, dude, you can lay claim to that team.
Exactly. I was born in Providence, and I have family still there. I have family in Massachusetts, and that's where the Patriots are from.
When
Massachusetts.
When you choose a team, it doesn't matter what any sport. There's like a couple ways. There's like a couple rules. One is like where you're from. You know, like is there a team from where you're from? If there is, you might have to be the default team, might not. Number two, if you're not like a fan and you kind of want to get into the game, you can pick any team you want. You know, there's no rules. So I think you're fine. I think Patriots are fine. You just kind of got lucky that that Bill Belichick is like, holla, from Tom Brady.
Well, you know, I started thinking about it, and I'm thinking, I think it's when is Tom Brady going to be gone from the Patriots?
That's a great question.
Because, for example, let's take like
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. Who's the guy from the 49ers?
Right now?
No, a long time ago.
Steve Young?
Quarterback.
Steve Young?
Steve Young.
Right? Steve Young.
Anyway, let's take a better example. Brett Favre.
Okay.
Green Bay
Everybody knows
Packers.
Brett Favre.
Yeah, Green Bay Packers. Awesome QB. Had a few years left in his career, right? And just left Green Bay and went to the Minnesota Vikings. Their rival goes to the rival team and then wins.
Kevin Durant.
And then wins.
Sorry.
So and you have that same thing going on with Peyton Manning from the Colts to the Denver Broncos, and now it's like, what's going to happen to Brady?
At least he stayed with like the same animal mascot.
Well, there's word on the street. What would be the perfect team for Brady? Is it the Dallas Cowboys?
Holy God Almighty! Really?
I don't know.
Is his contract up or something?
Well, no, but it's just speculation.
Oh, if he was going to pull a Favre?
Yeah, if he's going to pull a Favre, because
I got 3 years left.
Yeah,
I'm out of here.
And I guess as a franchise, any franchise, they're not going to have a QB that's getting to where.
Well, Dude, Bill Belichick is the prime example of business first,
Yes,
personal later.
because he does not
He'll cut
have
anybody, dude.
exactly. He's not. He will get rid of you.
Yes.
and he's gotten rid of good players before
Mm-hmm.
to where I would get updates on my NFL app. I was like, why in the world would you get rid of this
Right.
guy? I thought he was doing good. Well, I guess not.
His jersey sales were out the roof, dude. Bill Belichick don't care if it
And-
does not serve the team. He will.
And
he'll
I'm
do
starting to think I don't think this guy's loyal to anybody.
No.
Not even Tom Brady, the GOAT.
That's a bold statement,
That-
Cotton.
that-
You think
that-
so? You think Tom?
I honestly think so, because because if you really do some research between them, I don't think that they really see eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
Because you take the whole Deflategate thing that happened, Bill Belichick wasn't really behind Tom Brady.
He wasn't supporting his claim.
He was behind Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots.
His
In a way,
superior, right.
yes. Because I feel like he tries to keep it professional
Mm-hmm.
between coaches and players. So instead of sticking with the player, he's sticking with somebody superior to
That's
himself,
a good. The guy's a genius.
which is the
so-
owner of the whole franchise.
Right. He's the one that makes the team go around. He pays
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
everyone's salary.
He's the head
and-
honcho.
Yeah.
you know?
So I mean, that's a good move on his part.
So
As far as keeping Tom around, I mean, as long as he performs right, and then at some point there'll be the writing on the wall. If it's not just like catastrophic to where a defensive tackle just clobbers him.
I mean, that's kind of what happened to their backup quarterback yesterday.
Yeah. So it can happen, but I
Yeah,
mean, Brady's taking some hits, dude.
He's taking some hits. Look at Peyton Manning. I didn't think that he was going to get through that Broncos season, which he didn't even play but like half the games. But still, he looked like every move that he was making on the field. I think I heard some squeaks.
Yeah,
Just-
he's definitely got brain
Gears,
damage.
gears.
Have you ever watched an interview with him?
No, I haven't.
Oh my! Just pull up an interview on YouTube from the Broncos season and just listen to how we did real good. It was just kind of coming around and you're like, you got brain damage, homie. Like you should take some nootropics and eat some fish, eat some wild caught salmon because I think you've taken some shots.
I was watching a clip last night on NFLs and concussions. Mm-hmm. And the point of the clip was to just let other people know what a concussion really is, because a majority of people have not suffered concussions. They don't really know what it feels like. And when I was watching this, this former NFL player, I forgot his name, but he was describing it as an outer world experience.
Wow.
And I was like, I've never described anything as an outer world experience.
Except for your mushroom trip.
Since the mushroom trip. And that was a drug. You're
Right.
telling me if I get hit hard enough, I can go on a trip?
Yeah.
And
Supposedly.
So and while he was describing it as he would get, there were some times he said he's got hit so hard, he would open up his eyes and it would be like the cartoons where he would see black spots and two of yous. He would say that he had to actually comprehend what was going on. He could hear voices of people talking to him, but he wouldn't absorb it. He was just trying to focus on putting the two of you together
Wow.
to only seeing one.
Oh my God.
And it was just a short 2.5 clip, so it was very concise.
Yeah.
But it was concise enough to where I comprehended that when you get a concussion from getting trucked by a 6'6", 280-pound NFL player, you get knocked out.
You acquire some damage.
You get and that's why I guess going on to this new NFL season, there's more rules. Not even just the new sportsmanship like rules, where we've already seen penalties on that if anyone's been keeping up. But
Are you talking like helmet to helmet type things, or
helmet to
like
helmet
taunting?
is what I was talking about with the unsportsmanlike. Is just taunting. There's been numerous flags already of people getting flag penalties just for dancing too absurd after they get the touchdown.
Do you think that's ultimately going to kill the sport? The new rules as far as don't hit too hard, or
Well, take boxing for example.
Okay.
In the 1960s and 70s and 80s, there was like Mike Tyson. Was that his name?
Yep.
Really awesome boxer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he was clobbering people, throwing haymakers everywhere, and I think that there was a stance going around like, is boxing too dangerous?
Oh wow, okay.
Is it damaging players to where you're still living, but there's noticeable permanent damage done to you?
Hugely.
And now link that with professional American football. Like these guys they're still in pads, but they're just clobbering each other.
Yeah.
It's a really 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 physical sport.
I don't think as far as the industry or the sport itself tanking because of the rules and whatnot. Maybe a little bit. Like, you're going to lose some, like, hardcore people who are like, that's not how I remember football being. I'm not watching that shit. But maybe something else will come from it. So your example of the boxing, MMA kind of came from boxing. It was like, well, boxing has hit the plateau. It's not going to go any higher. You know, you're not throwing leg kicks. You're not throwing knees or anything. You're not, you know, elbow, a hammer fist. You can't hammer fist in boxing.
Well, there was a time, I think, when
Maybe so.
when the UFC first came around, there was no rules. Like, it was
Basically,
it was really UFC, no rules. There was no weight classes. You'd have a 5-foot midget going against a huge guy.
Right.
You know, there's no rules. And I guess finally they're like, whoa, we can't be doing this.
Yeah, that's so bizarre that they would be like...
If we're going to make an organization where people fight and we're trying to make money off this, we're not going to make money if these guys die.
Yeah, exactly. Someone might have got really close to dying.
So with that being said, I don't think I don't think we're going to see the NFL going away, but we will see more strict rules and things like that because the only one, there's just too much money being poured into this sport.
Yeah, from every direction.
Millions
Ticket
of dollars.
sales
Yeah,
and
millions of dollars to where so many people are.
Gotta be billions.
Oh yeah,
I think
sorry, I take it
billions.
back. Billions.
Bet
People's
billions.
just saying they compare it to where they try to make it justifiable. One of the biggest things is comparing the salary of like a veteran and what they make to somebody playing football.
Oh, you're talking like as a rookie comes in and they get this huge signing bonus, and then the veterans get like dog shit.
They get like 30, 40, like just mediocre.
Right, not
salaries.
220. Or I don't know what they get paid. Check this out. North of nine. Oh my God. This year's revenue for the National Football League is somewhere just north of $9 billion. The commissioner, Roger Goodell, wants more. He has stated that he wants to reach $25 billion. What the?
In a sport.
By 2017. That'll be possible with LA's new stadium and
Yes.
LA's new team.
It is in the works.
It is in the works.
I actually
They already changed the name.
I was driving by the new stadium site. There's nothing there yet.
Wait, you were out in Cali?
Months ago, just
Okay.
like in May.
It's in. Where is it located? It's
I have no idea. Because I don't.
south.
I was just being chauffeured, by my uncle, and I don't know the area, but we were driving down the highway, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, that's the new spot for the new LA Rams stadium." Didn't think of anything, so I was like, "Okay, that's cool."
here they
We just
brought-
went on the day.
They brought up the Los Angeles Memorial.
Yeah, see, it was along the highway, and he.
Well, no, this is
I
the-
feel like I was on that road right
You
there.
probably were. That's the 110. That's the Coliseum. That's like where USC plays and whatnot, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
so
don't
that's
know.
where they'll play for now. But where they're building it, the city of champions? Is that what it's called?
I have
That's
no-
it. It's called the City of Champions Stadium, and it's in Inglewood, right? Inglewood.
Speaking of stadiums, the Minnesota Vikings just got their new stadium, the Bank of America, the U.S. Bank Stadium and the only reason I know that is because Metallica played there recently,
nice.
like a month ago, and
Oh, here it is. Let's check it out.
yeah, they just played their first game there.
Oh my God! So is it a brand new stadium, or do they renovate the previous?
I think
stadium?
it's brand new.
Brand new?
Maybe we can try to pull up a Wikipedia
It
page.
is humongous.
Oh, it's awesome! It's got this roof on there that they say is like so ergonomic. It opens and closes, and it allows
does.
light and stuff. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it looks like it has like shutters.
Just
almost.
look at that feat of engineering, and let's just
it's
admire what us humans can do.
Oh, it's incredible. If you could, I was tripping out to this on the way to work or on the way to school today. If you think where humans came from, just if you go back to the symbiotic, whatever. I'm tired. Coming from single cell all the way up to hominids, apes, all the way to Homo sapiens, and even if you go back to like early Homo sapien days, and now what we're doing now. I was thinking it's like if you would look at a pack of rhinoceroses and then in like 150 years come back and they're on the moon and they're like talking, having podcasts, and they have clothing and it just blew
Flintstones, like the Flintstones.
like the Flintstones, dude. It was just melting my mind. It was like, this is not possible.
So now that you're mentioning this, I want to bring this up really quick. Can you please explain to me really quick the theory behind us getting goosebumps and
Oh yeah.
and the tailbone? What is the tailbone all about?
I think the tailbone, let's start there. I think it's a tail. I think we used to have some sort of tail, like an ape, like our previous ancestor.
Have you seen Dragon Ball Z?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking
So they have tails, right?
about. Okay, right?
And it's a human cartoon, but there's a
Yeah.
tail. But the tail is depicted as a gorilla tail, like an ape.
Yeah, right.
And
I think at one
And
time.
it is depicted in the cartoon right above your ass crack. Like,
Yeah.
right on your waist, which
Tails
is
are usually right there, right?
which is coincidentally right where the tailbone is at the end of your spine, right?
Yeah, right. It's kind of like an extension of your spine, wouldn't
Yeah.
it be? If you follow back ape, I guess you'd say ape history, primate history, you're going to end up back in the trees. You're going to end up like lemur type
Oh, that's
things.
awesome.
Yeah,
I've
so
always wanted to climb a tree.
yeah, well, your like great grandpa was in the tree, so, and grandma. But yeah, so back in the day, I would imagine that we had tails. But as far as goosebumps, I think the theory behind goosebumps is if you felt a creepy crawly on you, that you would have the sensation and you'd get it off because it could be super poisonous. And then say it's like some sort of spider that could kill you in one bite. That sensation gives you the get that shit off, before it bites you and dies.
Well, my theory behind goosebumps is
You have your own theory. I didn't know that.
when we get goosebumps, our hair raises up. So think of apes, primates. If they get cold and they get goosebumps, their hair will flare up, and I guess that creates more insulation.
That's true. I remember reading that. Now that you say that, it pulls in the blood vessels closer to the core of
Something
your body.
like that.
I think you're right.
I guess more area, more space area in your hairs would create more insulation. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, because it's like
simple quantum physics.
so simple. That's an oxymoron. Yeah. The goosebumps that go up pull the opposite part of the skin down closer to what would be warmer. Yeah, I totally see what you're saying there.
There was one thing I wanted to mention before we got on this crazy subject.
Sorry, back to the stadiums.
So back to the stadiums and these billions that the National Football League is pulling in. Do you think it's right that
They don't pay taxes?
well, besides that, I don't know if they do or not.
They don't.
Well, with us talking about these football players' athleticism and stuff, do you think it's right for us to put money on their ability, knowing that they make that much money and that we're gambling on these guys? I'm straight up talking sports bookies. It's illegal here, but in other countries it's legal
To bet on sports?
to bet on sports.
We can bet on sports through the internet, right?
Well, I meant like under the radar.
What?
Sports bookies.
How do you do it under the radar?
Hey, do you not know what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, there's like
Like
people-
Vegas, you bet on.
Is it? Well, you know what? I think I'm just completely wrong.
I don't think you're wrong. I mean,
There's sports bookies. Like you have a bookie and you take bets from players, and these players give you fresh hard cash, hundreds
you
of
talking
dollars.
players? Like if I go to Colin Kaepernick and say throw the game?
Well, I'm sure that they bet on specific players in certain situations, but as a whole, as a team.
Well, like this, like the
they're
Super
putting-
Bowl, you can bet. Like this is in Vegas. Like you can bet on what color the Gatorade is. You can bet on what the first points are scored, the first commercial.
But is that only allowed in Vegas?
That's a good question. Let's look it up.
Let's just simply type in sports bookies.
Okay.
Let's just see what comes up.
Is it IES?
I would say so.
It's Y. Sports betting
or-
bookmaker.
I think I'm talking about a bookmaker, actually.
Dog fights.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So where's here's Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act of 2016. Select markets such as Las Vegas on gambling cruises through self-service kiosks. This doesn't tell me if it's
I think you're just a sentence away.
Oh.
So they take bets up front, meaning that the bettor must pay before the sports book before placing the bet. And then it goes on to say illegal bookies, due to their nature of business, can operate literally anywhere, but only require money from losing bettors.
so you're talking about like a person that would just kind of like run an operation.
Yes, that's what I mean.
right.
So can you click back and
Yeah.
go to that search page, and there's a link.
Right underneath the bookmaker.
Mm-hmm. I think that's just telling us what it is. Well,
There's your legality right
legality.
there. Legal or illegal, often regulated. See, in the United Kingdom, you had mentioned that it's legal over there. You ever seen Snatch? They have the boxing. See, English law until Gambling Act of 2005. Many bookmakers are members of the...
There's a sentence right there.
There you go.
Yep.
Bookmaking is generally illegal in the U.S., with Nevada being a notable exception due to the influence of Las Vegas.
Bingo. I think
But
that's what I was...
you can do it online. You can do certain things online. You can bet, like, I think you can do simple sort of betting, like
Fantasy football.
DraftKings. There's $1 million wager on DraftKings, and that's betting. It's like, it's kind of strategic, I guess, but it's betting, right?
Yeah.
They found a loophole.
They did find a loophole, and the point that I'm bringing this up is we're betting on these on people, just like you and myself is what I'm
Right.
saying. Is that why it's illegal? Is it because there's like an unethicalness to it?
I think it's tax. It's got to be tax because they just can't regulate it. You know, like if Randy wants to start his own booking thing, you know, in the 4-state area, who's to say that you don't charge a 5% fee?
That's a good point.
Rather than a 10% or whatever.
Because I see these things all the time about the value of the illegal drug industry.
Billions.
Yeah, and just things like that the government can give us an estimate on how much it's worth, but they don't even know for sure.
No.
There might be a cache somewhere in a warehouse somewhere that they're just waiting to distribute, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons people will say that marijuana is illegal, or mushrooms, LSD, anything like that, cocaine, methamphetamines, because it's unregulated. They cannot regulate. For instance, marijuana, you could grow marijuana in your garden like a tomato. So who's going to regulate that? Yet marijuana is worth 100 times the value of a tomato. So Farmer Joe is growing weed. If it's legal and he sells it to you and I for $150, he doesn't have to claim it. It's the same with if some person was just like bringing fresh fruit and vegetables to his place of work and saying, "Hey, $5 for this, $5 for that," and he makes $200. That is not taxed. It's not regulated. So that's a big part of why that is illegal. That's one of my things and things that I've read.
I guess then in that case you can say the same thing about having garage sales, right?
You could, yeah. If you were, that's an interesting point. If you had like massive garage sales and you just gathered up, maybe if you went dumpster diving at a college, at the end of every semester, and you gathered up all this shit, and then you went to you had your own garage sale. I mean, what if you made $2,000-$3,000?
Yeah,
unregulated.
I mean, I was watching a show on like Hulu, like these documentaries on just under the table things, and I was watching one about how somehow the like older vehicles in the United States will somehow get sold to these people to where they get put in storage containers and then they get shipped off to other countries
to sit
to
be
used.
Wow, okay.
In like illegal ways, I guess, to transport drugs.
Oh yeah.
When I say ship, I don't mean just to rent. I'm actually talking about Central America, South America. It was the documentary is that they were being taken from the United States down south to Colombia, to Venezuela,
just smashing
Guatemala.
Them with
just like bunch of Colombian cocaine
in the tires and then the doors,
and then they drive
like
it up
that.
Mexico.
Okay, right, yeah. And they're just like, hey, coming in, and they're just stacked. There's a Discovery Channel or History Channel show, something like Border Control. Have you ever seen one of those?
Oh, I love those. I love watching stuff like that.
What would you call that? Just like science reality or just
Border Wars?
Well, I meant like the genre.
Oh, yeah.
It's it's a reality show, but it's like, I don't know.
Well,
not
reality. Saying reality show. To me, when I think of reality show, I think of half real, half fake. Which
right, like real scenario, but it's plotted out.
It's been exaggerated, right?
Right. Yeah. What's the best case scenario? The Border Control is going to find 50 pounds of cocaine. But in real life, that happens maybe once every 1,000 cars. Or, whatever. That's just an example. Yeah, that makes sense. Half real, half not.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder, what is it like to be in the life of a Border Patrol agent?
Right. You kind of get to look into it,
Yeah.
Just like, hey, what do these guys do?
Well, we might have a wall soon, so I don't think there would be a job, as many openings for that position.
Dude, what do you think about drone use as far as, like, keeping people out of the country?
So the first place where I seen drone use was actually, I think, in an episode of either it was I want to say Bob's Burgers or South Park.
Right. Okay.
Have you seen that one?
No, I've not.
I want to say it's South Park where they're like flying this drone and they're spying on people. They're peeping on people. It was like a play on the Peeping Tom.
Oh, right.
Right? And I thought it was a really crazy episode. And I go to Sam's Club like a week later, and I find the exact drone that's in this cartoon. So I'm thinking it's South Park because, South Park doesn't give a shit about like copyright or anything like that. They'll straight up steal the Washington Redskins name and make fun of things.
They have
it's
an
awesome.
excellent view on reality. No one is safe.
Yeah, no one is safe. And I seen the exact drone that was drawn out in that cartoon, and it was in Sam's Club for like $400. It was
Wow.
a $400 drone, remote controlled, and you can fly it up to distances. And there was even an emergency mode where if it was sensing that its battery was going to die, it would override everything it was programmed to do and fly itself home, so that you wouldn't lose your $400 toy.
Right. That's exactly what I got a drone in the other room. It's called the home point. You set a home point, and then you set like a height. So like I usually set mine at about 120 feet so that it won't fly into a tree. So say it does die or I fly out of range and it goes up, I'm returning home. It first flies to either up to or down to, depending on how high or low I had it, to 120 feet. Flies over the GPS coordinates and then just comes straight down. So the home point is very, very
So does it have a
important.
camera on it?
Yeah, it has a camera.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's got a little gimbal camera that can go around, and you can transmit it wirelessly. Like I fly it off my phone, so I have the controller, and then on my phone, and I can just see what it's seeing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then it has like all the how high you are. It has a little GPS map in the corner, so you can kind of see where you've flown. Like there's a couple of times where I've flown out of connectivity. Like I can't see where this thing is looking, but I can open up the map and I can see what direction it's pointing. I can just turn it around and fly it right back.
That's very neat.
Yeah.
So back to the question. I think drones are cool.
What about them big fucking Predator ones, though, that shoot missiles?
Oh, like the ones that they use in war?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing is fair in war. So I was thinking a while back that there are rules in war. There's things that's set by, I guess, what you call it, the United Nations.
The Geneva Convention.
Yeah, that's it. The Geneva Convention to not do certain things like drop napalm, right?
Right, or torture with, waterboarding.
Yeah, and so what is going to really keep a renegade country from following those rules? North Korea just might lose their shit one day. Just might lose it one day. And whether they have it or not, they just might be wreaking havoc to their neighboring countries. Mm-hmm.
Dude, you got one of the most prosperous, smartest, ingenious nations in the world. You have South Korea, which is an amazing place. The sort of technology that they push out, the physics that they have discovered, chemistry. I mean, dude, I fucking love that country. And yeah, right upstairs, their upstairs neighbor is fucking quacked out and may have nuclear weapons at one point.
Like they're the new Soviet Union.
Oh my god! But just crazier. Have you seen The Dictator? Wait, is the Dictator? Is it Kim Jong-un?
Kim Jong-un.
What? No, that movie with Seth Rogen.
Oh, yeah. What is that movie called? I seen it.
It's
and they're making fun of him so bad.
It's so funny.
I was surprised that he didn't take revenge on us already.
He said he was going to.
Oh, yeah. He was promising.
That movie was great. They had the Katy Perry song with the missile flying at the helicopter.
There were so many parodies.
He loves basketball. I wish I could remember that movie. I guess I could Google it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Drones, the use of like the Predator drones are scary as shit. I'm just glad that America has it, and I'm an American.
Like the ones in Call of Duty, or
yeah, like the big Predator ones. They're flightless. They're flown from like Arkansas. Like I have a couple of buddies that go down to Arkansas. They strap up, they put their shit on, and they fly a drone that's halfway across the world. And they go, "Hey, we're gonna strike this place."
Have you?
They go home and have dinner.
You've been to Oklahoma City,
yeah?
Have you? Okay, so along the highway, Interstate 40, I think. So you have Tinker Air Force Base there, and somebody was telling me that underneath the intersection of one of the bridges, there's a big platform, and I've seen it myself before. It's a big platform, and they say there's a missile underneath there.
What? Like a nuke?
Like a nuke.
Like a nuke ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go. And so I don't know if it's real or not. It's like by word of mouth, and they're saying, yeah, that site's and it's it's blocked off, and there's like a big hole.
I believe it. I fucking believe it 100%.
By an Air Force base, and if I recall, if you're driving into Oklahoma City from the east part of the country, the Air Force Base is going to be off to your left, and there's huge cargo transport planes and fighter planes just on display for you to see.
Right.
And so I wouldn't doubt if there was literally a warhead sitting right there.
Dude, if you don't think the most powerful country in the world that America runs the show,
We do.
That's not patriotic. That's not like I got a big ego. I'm an American dude. America runs the world. We make the rules. We run the world. If you don't think we have a couple nukes stacked away, just in case,
They're there.
You're crazy.
Somewhere.
You're crazy.
So the other day I was watching a video on our military on how many bases we have around the world. Like we have military bases in South Korea and still in Germany from World War II. They're just there chilling.
We have one of the largest military bases that's bigger than the Vatican City. I think it's in Iraq. We're not going anywhere, man.
It's like there's billions and trillions put into the military. That's I guess that's why the country's in so much debt. Because it's an insurance for our own protection, I guess.
Dude, we're colonizing the world in the most like subliminal way of any sort of superpower ever. Back in the old day, these Alexander the Great or Genghis Khan or whoever, they would just come in and they would kill everybody and be like, okay, now we get this place. We claim this land. This is the first time, as far as I can think of, that people, that a nation goes in, we set up base, and then we claim everything, and then we go to the next place and we set up base, and then we claim everything.
And it almost goes unspoken because, to some people, they just may think that we have troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, but we don't. There's like U.S. Navy vessels right now just sailing around.
Yep.
The people on those vessels themselves don't even know where they're at because that's how so top secret it is. I believe.
That'd be crazy. I bet it's true.
I think it is true, and because that's what I heard. Not that it's always true.
That makes total sense, though.
Because it's so secret, the guys don't even know where they're at.
Sometimes you're not supposed to be where you are. It's just like there's just the top generals, and we're like, okay, we're going into uncharted waters. We're not even supposed to be here. Don't tell anybody.
Think about the Navy SEALs. So I like to watch documentaries and stuff, and I watch like documentaries on like Army Rangers and Navy SEALs, and they're going in teams of 10. Teams of 8, and it's so secret. It's like, wow, you're talking 10 people only know about this, and the commander in chief, which is our president, only know about this, and just so a handful of people know about this. And these highly specially trained forces, they go to places like Iraq and Afghanistan and find people like Bin Laden,
who can't be found for years.
It couldn't be found for years, and I think it was Bin Laden that was caught and shot, or maybe it was Saddam Hussein.
No, it was Bin Laden.
It was
With
Bin
SEAL
Laden?
Team 6?
Yeah.
That was Bin Laden.
Like, you're talking me a group of, just a handful of people went in and killed all these people, blew shit up.
Delta Force, baby.
That's crazy.
I mean, you remember the story where they flew in with 2 helicopters? Right?
Yeah, one of them crashed, right?
Do you remember what they did to it?
No,
They blew it up. It was so advanced and so top secret, they were just like, blow it up right now. We don't want anyone to get the engineering and the specs off this thing. Blow it up.
I believe it.
Because if they left it behind, then some smart Saudi kid could come up and be like, oh, okay, I get it. Oh, look, they hide the missiles on top instead of the bottom. I mean, just an example.
Just stuff like that.
But just, boom, blow it up. Just get rid of it. Dude, that Delta Force is, I had a guy on, he wasn't a Navy SEAL. He was a Navy officer. And he was telling me about Delta Force, and they kind of refer to those guys that go to their own funeral. Like, that's how top secret is. It's like, hey, you've been chosen for Delta Force. Say goodbye to your wife, say goodbye to your kids, and we're going to tell them that you died in a plane crash. And then they have this funeral for you, and you're wiped off the grid. Like, you just don't exist. Then they send you in to kill Bin Laden.
There's some secrets like that, man. And it's like, is it really true, or is it not true, or is it only half of it true? And is it really that secret? Like what really happened to Biggie and Tupac?
Oh my gosh. That's a great question, by the way. I don't know. Who knows? What the conspiracy behind that is? What CIA agents take them out because they had gang wars on opposite coasts? Was that it?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Something about Michael Jackson. He's still around, I guess.
Oh well, Tupac said he was going to come back after 7 years, right? He goes, after my death, I'm coming back, right?
Yeah.
That's what I remember hearing, right? And then he was supposed. I forget what year it was, but then he was supposed to show back up, and he never did because he died.
Yeah, he's really dead. There's just crazy people out there, like the Illuminati. I almost kind of
put that back in the box right now,
dude.
Put it back.
I almost believe in them.
Yeah.
I really think that there's a secret
I
organization.
was gonna say, do you believe like in the Illuminati themselves, or just like that there's some sort
Just
of
not,
power?
Yeah, I think there's some sort of power
It
behind
seems
it.
like it, dude.
You know, so you have the president that some people say, oh, that's just a figurehead, because there's a cabinet of advisors that kind of advise him on what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just kind of like I guess take a casino, for example. You have a general manager of a casino, but above that GM is a group, is a board of advisors.
Right, around that GM.
Yeah,
you
like
know,
a big round table.
Yeah, and then who else? They have advisors, I'm sure. You know, like there's this like a hierarchy of people influencing people.
Yeah, and so when you take on the job of the president of the United States, you're not just the president of the United States. You're a link to the whole world. Because you know when a country has a problem and it involves America, well, you know, the president's got to step up to the plate.
Right, he's got to make a decision some way.
Yeah,
or the other.
and do something.
That's going to affect millions of people
Yeah,
in good or bad ways.
crazy.
Dude, I have to go to organic tutoring.
Dude, I gotta go to the bathroom.
We've been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes.
If anybody's made it this long,
Oh, dude, people will love this. They were so excited to hear that Randy was coming on, and you're a fascinating guest. You're an amazing talker. So
I
it's been
have
one of the
so
best
much
podcasts.
more to say. I have so much more to say. Like we have not even touched on the base of I don't know what
We didn't get to the
grass
field
bi-
biology.
Field biology.
Yeah,
Okay,
your grass species.
Amateur.
Save it
field-
for next time. Save it for
Save it
next time. Dude, you're gonna come back, right?
I'm gonna have to. I gotta
Please
finish.
do.
I gotta finish. I can't start something like this.
Well, I mean, you're gonna get a new job at Tallgrass. You're gonna have all sorts of new experiences. You know, you're gonna maybe do some world traveling. Then you're gonna come back and tell me stories.
Speaking of world traveling, I'm going to be in Southeast Asia next
Oh, shit.
February. I'm gonna fly out to. I've already got it booked. I haven't even told my mom and my parents.
Oh.
Like I have it booked with
Sci-fi and podcast exclusive.
So yeah, just big cliff notes. We're gonna go there for 2.5 weeks. We're gonna go to Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos.
Dude, let's. How can people follow you? You have Instagram you keep up. You have a Twitter handle. Find you on Facebook.
You know what? I used to update my Instagram a lot and put out all kinds of foodie pictures and stuff. I used to keep up on Snapchat. The best place for somebody to keep up with me is Facebook and LinkedIn.
Boom! Look up Randy on Facebook and LinkedIn. I will put both links in the biography of this particular episode. So if you want to keep up with Randy, see what he's doing as far as his culinary works, his musician, his grass taxonomy, whatever he's into, man. He's a Patriot fan, so join him on that.
You're mainly going to see a bunch of Patriot and just a bunch of
Some
stuff.
dishes, some food
I guess revolving around myself, really, because it's my page.
That's how it's supposed to be, my friend. That's how it's supposed to be. So if you want to follow Randy as he goes to Southeast Asia or Tulsa or Florida, I'd love to see some Florida pictures
God. I'd love
from
to
those
go to Florida.
parties that you mentioned earlier.
I'm just going to fuck everything.
Facebook live feed. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. I
You're very
appreciate it very
welcome.
much. It's been so much fun. I would go for another 2 hours, but I have to go study some carbon bonds. Please pray for me.
Carbon bonds. Well,
I just got 2 more semesters.
Philadelphia Eagles are about to play
Right now?
in an hour. I think they're playing at 7:30.
Oh, it's Monday. I'm totally...
Monday
I'm
Night Football.
Dun, 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 dun.
Which, by the way, I stream ESPN online now
For everyone?
for for my TV.
Like, that's what you watch?
For Monday Night Football.
Oh,
I didn't know that they changed Monday Night Football to ESPN.
I know. It's a shame. And then Thursday night and everything. So the common man has only to watch on Sundays now.
Yeah.
I gotta go. Everybody, thanks for listening today. If you enjoyed the podcast, please give us a like on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at SciFi And Friends. That's it, at SciFi And Friends on Twitter. Hit us up. Let us know what you think. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that's been listening to the podcast. It's been really supportive and really overwhelming to hear how many people have actually listened to a whole episode, or they quote you on a piece of an episode. It's really cool that we're receiving so much positive feedback. So love to everybody. I appreciate it. We will see you tomorrow. Colin Crossland is on the podcast. Thank you for returning. Have a great week. We will see you tomorrow. Peace.
SciFi wins.